Blinded by love, he never saw the blade coming until his girlfriend bled him dry of every scent. His parents' legacy vanished, leaving him a ghost haunting the streets with nothing to his name. Then the world ended. A virus turned humanity into ravenous monsters, plunging the globe into absolute carnage. In this hellscape, survival meant banding together or becoming another meal for the walking dead. Our hero, Jiang Xiaoyong, built a sanctuary with allies until his treacherous ex, Kui Jing, crawled back begging for mercy. She wore a mask of tragedy, playing the ultimate victim to infiltrate his life once more. Slowly, she preyed on his lingering kindness, twisting his sympathy into a lethal noose around his neck. The Viper struck again, leading her new lover's thugs straight to the heart of his safe zone. They slaughtered his friends and toyed with his broken body until the bitter, bloody end. But every storm eventually breaks. Miraculously, Xiaoyong awakens 1 month in the past, before the nightmare ever began. This time, no mercy. He will hunt them down while preparing for the coming apocalypse. Welcome to Bot Get Review. Presenting the full recap of Apocalyptic Rebirth Climbing to the Top with Mystery Chests. If you enjoy the thrill, smash that like and subscribe. Now, let's dive into the carnage. We open with our hero bound in chains, a puppet in a sick game. Suspended over a pit of starving zombies, he is nothing more than live bait waiting for the fall. Before him stands his traitorous ex and her bloated lover, backed by a wall of murderous thugs. Kui Jing looks up, her voice dripping with venom as she mocks the ghosts of his fallen comrades. Your friends are all dead, Xiaoyong. What is the point of you even breathing anymore? After their brutal siege on his sanctuary, the horror was only just beginning. His allies were broken and tossed to the horde. One had his face torn off, another's skull was crushed instantly. Tears had not even dried before their lives were snuffed out. They died with eyes wide in terror. Xiaoyong's soul burns with the memory of his 2 closest friends, his true family. Regret chokes him. Damn it, my stupidity killed you both, he screams internally, heart shattering in his chest. Dangling helplessly, he glares at his betrayer with eyes filled with pure, unadulterated hatred. You monsters, he roars. I will drag your souls to hell and make sure you never find peace. Evil thrives while the innocent bleed. They were supposed to be married, yet she feels nothing. She smirks, clinging to her new man's arm, whining. Oh, darling, look how scary he is being to me. The fat pig laughs, eyeing her with lust. Do not worry, baby, he sneers. We will torture him slowly for you. They had already plundered every scrap of gear Xiaoyong owned. Thanks for the supplies, loser. This loot will keep us living like kings for months. With a sadistic grin, he reaches for the remote controlling Xiaoyong's life support line. Going down! The cable snaps. Xiaoyong plummets, his spine shattering against the hard concrete with a sickening thud. The impact leaves him paralyzed, a broken man at the bottom of a death pit. The shadows move. The hungry dead sense fresh meat and begin to swarm their helpless prey. A feast delivered right to their doorstep. The zombies scramble over each other, frantic to reach him first. Rotting maws gape open, milky eyes bulging from pale, necrotic faces. It is a grotesque symphony of the damned. Paralyzed by the fall, Xiaoyong can only watch his teeth sink into his neck, shoulders, and gut. Bound and helpless, he vomits blood, a primal scream of agony tearing from his throat. His body is ripped apart piece by piece. The pain is absolute. The helplessness is soul-crushing. In the final flickering moments of consciousness, a vow of pure vengeance crystallizes in his mind. Kui Jing, Li Shuheng, if there is a next life, I will make you beg for mercy. The light fades. Xiaoyong dies in the dark, consumed by teeth and betrayal. But the darkness shatters. He bolts upright, lungs gasping for air as if waking from a nightmare. Drenched in cold sweat, his heart hammers. Suddenly, a familiar screeching voice snaps him back. Xiaoyong, what is your problem? Fate has granted his dark wish. The second chance begins now, and vengeance will be absolute. I'm slumped on the sofa, staring at the slender legs of my girlfriend, Toi Tin. She's towering over me, screaming. Why isn't my name on the deed? Do you even love me at all? Just moments ago, I was being torn apart by zombies. Now, I'm back home. My mind is reeling in confusion. What is happening? Everything looks familiar, yet I'm staring around like a lost stranger. I'm actually alive. The realization hits me. Have I really regressed? Is this the calm before the world ends? There she is, Toi Tin, acting like a tyrant. The horrors I just witnessed felt like a nightmare, but they were real. It was a vision of the future, a warning of who will betray me and who will stay true. Rage simmers in my chest. I flex my unblemished hands and swear, I won't make the same mistakes again. I force my racing thoughts into order. I can't let her know I regressed or that I see her lies. I stay silent, enduring her venomous shouting. And that 100 million bride price? Not a single cent can be missing. My girlfriend is stunning, sure, but her soul is absolute garbage. A lazy gold digger through and through. I used to be a total pushover. Now she stands there, arms crossed, barking orders like she owns me. Do you understand? She snaps. Looking at her, I can only think, what a wicked woman. Sitting before the person who sold me out is agonizing. I know her schemes, but I must stay calm. I can't snap yet. Not now. Tin keeps screeching. I'm giving you time. If you don't have the cash, I've heard enough of her nonsense. I cut her off, shoving her toward the door. Yeah, I get it. Just go. I'll handle it. Thoi Tin freezes. She's never seen me act this way. A flicker of doubt crosses her face. She turns back, her expression a mix of fury and pure confusion. What is wrong with him? Since when did he grow a backbone? Wasn't he supposed to be my loyal little dog? Back inside, I slam the door and lock it. Finally, that leech is gone. I can breathe again. Silence fills the room. I turn my gaze toward the digital clock on the wall. It's 1700 hours, year 2034. I have exactly 1 month to prepare for the great calamity. Suddenly, a sharp, metallic sound echoes through the quiet apartment. Asterisk ding, asterisk. A holographic screen flickers to life. The doomsday system has been successfully initialized and missions are live. Alert. Please quickly complete the mission. Prepare for the apocalypse. Objectives. Acquire land, 0 of 1. Gather supplies, 0 of 365. Reward, 10 points. These points can be traded for items in the system shop. I didn't just regress. I was granted a system to fight the coming undead tide. This is my chance for survival. I stare at the glowing interface, mesmerized. A system? This changes everything. Points? What can they buy? I tap the shop icon, and the screen shifts to a list of items. Strength Enhancement Potion. +1 costs 20 points. Level 1 Cultivator Crates, 2 points. Level 1 Protagonist Crates, 10 points. Refresh button, -2 points. As I scroll through the shop, a sudden memory flashes through my mind. Something crucial. I turn frantically, searching for my phone. I can't believe I almost forgot. In my last life, I starved myself to save for her bride price. I grabbed my smartphone off the table. Forget social media. I logged straight into the food delivery app. In 30 days, the world will be a graveyard. I need to feast while food still exists. Night falls, and the city lights flicker to life as a delivery driver arrives at my high-rise. The table is quickly buried under a mountain of mouth-watering gourmet dishes from the city's finest. This is legendary 3-star cuisine. I used to only dream of this while starving. I know the hell that's coming. When the world ends, I'll be lucky to find bread. I won't regret spending every cent on this feast. Lifting a bite, I glared at the meat. Let's see if this $300,000 stir-fry is actually worth it. I took a bite, savoring the flavor. Hesitation vanished as a culinary explosion rocked my senses. It was so divine, I felt a surge of power that nearly shredded my hoodie. Satisfaction flooded me after weeks of starving. I slumped into my chair, mouth wide open in pure bliss. I devoured everything like a starving predator, my hands moving in a desperate, frantic blur. Suddenly, my phone screamed beside me, shattering the moment of peace. Holding a crab leg, I glanced at the screen. Someone was calling. Who now? I saw the name. Another manipulative green tea sister crying for help? Annoyed, I answered anyway. The second I picked up, a woman's screech pierced my brain. Kwang Tia Dung, what's your problem? How could you treat Thoi Tin like this? She opened her heart, yet you won't share your assets? Is this your version of love? Her hysterical voice was deafening, making my ears ring painfully. I grabbed a towel and pulled the phone away, but her shrill voice still cut through. Thoi Tin only disappeared to test you. Bring your deeds and $1 million here to apologize now. Do it, or it's over. Usually, I would have panicked and begged, desperate to please that toxic woman. But I finally saw her true colors and the snakes she called friends. I was a different man now. Her arrogance fueled a fire in my soul. As she finished her rant, my blood finally boiled over. I didn't hold back. Bringing the phone to my lips, I roared with every ounce of my lungs. What do you want? A woman like her isn't worth my time. Get lost. Silence fell. She was stunned by my defiance. Kwang Tio Dung. How dare you? She stammered. My rage erupted, purging years of suppressed resentment toward those brainless, manipulative gold diggers. I sank into the sofa, arms draped back, staring at the ceiling with a heavy, exhausted sigh. Now, I had to focus on the mission. A piece of land. My mind began to race. Yes, I needed a plan. What exactly would I do with that specific plot? I will build an impregnable fortress, defensible, near fresh water, and shielded by the dense forest. Perfect. Decision made. I headed to a high-end real estate agency, a place where professionalism was the gold standard. Luxury dripped from every corner. Then there was me dressed in ordinary rags, looking like a ghost. As I entered the grand lobby, a young female staff member stepped forward to greet me. She bowed politely. Welcome, sir. Are you looking to buy or rent? I hesitated, hands deep in my pockets. I didn't want to keep her waiting, so I smiled and started to answer. Actually, I'm here to be. Before I could finish, a man's voice barked from behind her. Tio Nin. It was Director Chu, the sales manager. He looked at her with a cold, stern gaze, ignoring me. Tio Nin, go help move the shelves in the back. We have too much paperwork today. She hesitated. But Director Chu, I need to assist this gentleman first, she replied respectfully. He grabbed her shoulder and shoved her aside, his face contorting into a mask of pure disgust. Did you forget everything I taught you? You have no vision. Get to work. Now. Can't you see he's wearing trash? He couldn't believe she was wasting time on someone who looked broke. Hearing his insults, a cold bitterness settled in my chest. This was the world I lived in. I loathed these arrogant, money-grubbing elitists. My fists clenched as I struggled to maintain my composure. Tunin tried to protest, but the director narrowed his eyes, shooting me a venomous, mocking look. Look at his rags. He can't even afford a toilet, let alone a house. Don't waste your breath. The girl was silenced by his cruelty. As for me, I felt like I had been frozen in ice. The shock wore off, and I snapped. What did you say? Looking down on me. You dog? He could dish it out, but couldn't take it. His eyes flared with sudden violent rage at my words. He turned fully toward me, a sneer plastered on his face as he laughed in my face. I am a man looking at a stray dog in rags. What of it? Arrogance blinded him to the truth. A lowlife like you buying property? Buy a bathroom, and I'll eat filth on the spot. Xiao Yong stared at the arrogant fool, his silence masking a lethal, hidden calculation. The manager had just signed his own doom. Xiao Yong moved in for the kill. He stood tall between the manager and Xiao Ning, eyes burning with focused intensity. His brow furrowed. Fine, remember those words. I'll find you something truly disgusting to eat. No one knew the true depth of his wealth. His face radiated pure, absolute confidence. With a flick of his fingers, he produced a legendary black card, gleaming with authority. Little lady, I didn't come here for some petty rental. He raised his voice clearly. I'm here to buy the land. He shoved the card toward the stunned Hung Hach manager. The manager's smirk vanished instantly, replaced by a cold sweat of pure, visceral terror. Seeing this sudden power shift, Xiaoning gasped, her heart racing in total shock. Sensing a massive scene unfolding, a curious crowd gathered to witness the dramatic fallout. When they saw the black card, the entire room fell into a breathless, shocked silence. Buying land? Is he insane? Does he even know the astronomical cost of that? I've lived 30 years and never seen anyone buy land with a black card. Whispers erupted. A hidden mogul. This is a true billionaire walking among us. Xiaoning realized her kindness had just landed her the elite client of a lifetime. She bowed deeply. Please, sir, step this way. I will show you everything personally. Xiao Yang followed her, leaving the chaos. Her service was now impeccably professional and warm. The manager stood frozen, grinding his teeth in a fit of impotent, burning rage. Show off. I bet that card is fake. You won't have a cent at closing. They entered a private VIP suite. Xiao Yang sat, exuding the aura of a king. Xiao Ning presented the property portfolios with trembling, respectful hands to her new guest. These are our prime holdings, sir. Let me walk you through the elite details now. As the papers neared, Xiao Yang dismissed them with a sharp, impatient wave of hand. He was straight to the point, no fluff. He looked her in the eye, dead serious. Let me tell you exactly what I need. Let's see if you can deliver it. Speak, sir, she replied. He was preparing for a catastrophe the world didn't see coming. To survive the coming plague, he needed a fortress. He stroked his chin, calculating deeply. Surrounded by mountains and rivers, flowing water, easy road access, a perfect, hidden stronghold. And it needs a massive factory building. The crowd thought these bizarre requirements were mad. Xiao Ning hesitated, clutching her files. These requirements were strange, almost like an ancient fortress. Suddenly, the manager burst in, his ugly face twisted with a new, malicious scheme. He sneered, cutting into their private conversation with a venomous, mocking tone. Doesn't that cursed lot in East City match his special needs perfectly, Xiao Ning? Xiao Ning gasped. The manager? East City? But that place is a complete disaster zone. She turned to her boss, confused. Manager Chu? You mean the ruined tea capital? We can't sell that. It's a graveyard of unfinished factories and massive legal nightmares. He knew it was a trap, a poisoned chalice meant to ruin the young buyer. His heart was black. He looked down at Xiao Yang with a murderous, icy glare. This beggar wants a miracle? Let him have the trash no one else wants. He was convinced Xiao Yang was just a troublemaker, looking for a fight today. Ignoring the scum, Xiao Yang focused on the girl. A fortress in the ruins? Perfect. East City District. Can it really meet all my specific survival requirements? Yes, but the buildings are crumbling, and the entire construction team has already fled. He snatched the files, flipping to the specific plot. Xiaoyong scanned every detail with intense focus. This is it. The location is perfect. It hits every single requirement on my list. That reinforced wire fence is a fortress. Plus, the unfinished shell saves me months of construction time. Realizing this was the golden ticket he needed to survive, Xiaoyong shoved the folder back to Xiaoning. I'm taking it. This land is mine. Can we sign the contract and settle the payment right now? Xiaoning was stunned. Who would buy this wasteland? She bowed instinctively, stammering a confused apology. I'm so sorry, sir. Wait, did I hear that correctly? Little Ning's eyes nearly popped out. She stood there, frozen and utterly dazed by his sudden demand. Trembling, she bowed again, her face flushed with hesitation as she looked at Xiaoyong. Sir, are you absolutely certain you really want this abandoned factory site? Xiaoyong didn't blink. He glanced back at the stunned manager Chu with a cold, mocking smirk. Obviously, let's sign. Someone behind me has a very disgusting meal to finish today. Manager Chu turned pale, his teeth grinding in silent fury. His lucky streak had officially ended. He had pushed this junkland on Xiaoyong just to humiliate him and kick him out. Instead, he'd handed over a treasure. Chu stared at the receipt, screaming in total disbelief. No! This is impossible! This can't be happening! His arrogance had finally shattered into pieces. Now, he had to pay the price. His filth-eating bet was no longer a joke. Drenched in sweat, Chu shrieked at the paper. 300,000? A deposit of 300,000? Who spends millions on a half-dead factory? It didn't make any sense to him. I don't believe it. Xiaoyong walked over, placing a heavy, mocking hand on Chu's trembling shoulder. He leaned in, his smile sharp as a blade. Hey friend, my payment has cleared. Now, show us your trick, eat up, and maybe I'll gift you a digital rocket for your performance. Chu turned into a statue, his face ghostly white as cold sweat poured down his neck. Xiaoyong didn't stick around for the show. He turned his back and walked away. But Chu's co-workers were ready. They pulled out phones, starting a live stream for the entire world. One colleague rushed forward. Hey fatty, I'm live. Don't keep the audience waiting for the main event. The office turned into a pack of wolves. Another man ran up, laughing with wicked delight. Big guy, my stomach's been acting up. I've got something extra fresh for you to try. Chu tried to fight them off, but they swarmed him like a living nightmare. A camera was shoved in his face. Fatty, you like lobster? I had some last night. I'm sure there is still some. Processed meat. Every 3-5 left in the tank for you today. Suddenly, a chime rang out. The system screen flickered before his eyes. Mission, disaster preparedness. Objective, secure a base and stockpile a year of supplies. Reward, system shop points. Xiaoyong walked through the lobby, hands deep in his pockets, lost in his own grim thoughts. The apocalypse was coming. He'd used his wedding money for land, but he needed much more. I need cash for a massive food haul. Just then, a man in a white suit passed. It was Li Shuhong, the man his cheating girlfriend was seeing behind his back. Shuhong stopped, sensing a familiar presence as Xiaoyong walked past him. He squinted at Xiaoyong's retreating back. Wait, was that actually that loser, Xiaoyong? He shrugged it off and headed inside, completely unaware of the chaos brewing ahead. But Shuhong froze at the sight of the lobby, turning into a literal zoo. Workers were pinning Manager Chu down, forcing his mouth open with something truly foul and disgusting. It was a riot. Phones were recording every second of Chu's pathetic and public downfall. The high-end lobby was now a circus. Shuhong screamed, "What the hell is going on here?" Cut to Choi Jing's place. She's draped in lace and leather, flaunting a dangerous, seductive charm. Sitting alone, she draws a slow, wicked breath from her cigarette, looking utterly depraved. Suddenly, her phone erupts. An unknown number flashes. She answers with a practiced, sultry, and demanding pout. Li Shuhong? Still thinking of me? But the fat bastard's frantic voice cuts her off, screaming about Xiaoyong. Jing! That brat Kung Tiodung just dropped a fortune on a massive plot of land. Her eyes snap wide. The mere mention of land and money sends the greedy woman bolting upright. She slams her fist onto the vanity, glass rattling. What did you just say? She shrieked, losing all composure. Buying land? Where the hell did that loser get that kind of cash to begin with? Shuhong grovels. 100 million! It's the dowry money he was saving for your wedding, I bet. Fury replaces shock as she screams into the phone. That bastard! How dare he spend my money like that? In her twisted mind, his hard-earned life savings already belonged to her by default. Shuhong tries to reel her in, offering a calculated plan of attack to get the money back. Listen, Jing. Stop screaming and go find him. Get the truth out of that fool right now. Driven by pure greed over the stolen wedding funds, Jing loses every ounce of her sanity. She barks back at Shuhong, claiming the cash as if it were her own personal inheritance. Ask him I'm going to ruin him. That snake won't survive the night after I'm done with him. Meanwhile, at Xiaoyong's, the air is thick with the weight of his mysterious, apocalyptic mission. He's emptied his wedding fund for the land, but survival requires vastly more supplies and gear. He sinks into his sofa, jaw clenched, eyes burning with a new, cold intensity. Building a fortress takes millions. Where can I find more capital before the world truly ends? A violent pounding at the door shatters his focus. Someone is kicking it like a maniac. Who the hell is making that racket? He sighs, opening it to find his toxic girlfriend and her friend. Jing and her sidekick stand there, looking rushed and ready to start a physical confrontation. Xiaoyong eyes them coldly. What do you two want at my house at this hour? Jing bristles, standing with an arrogant, wide stance, her face twisted in a venomous, hateful snarl. Xiaoyong, explain yourself. How dare you touch my dowry money? Her friend nods along smugly. Xiaoyong stares at them, 1,000 mocking questions flashing through his mind at her audacity. Is she serious? The blind love he once felt has turned to pure, unadulterated disgust. He scowls, his voice dropping an octave. What the hell are you babbling about, woman? But Jing is too far gone in her own narcissism to notice his change in demeanor. She jabs a finger at his face. Don't play dumb. I know you bought land with my wedding money. That cash is mine, so that land belongs to me now. Hand it over, you thief. Her audacity is legendary. Xiaoyong can't believe he ever loved this delusional, gold-digging snake. He lets out a sharp, mocking laugh. You've completely lost your mind, haven't you, you psycho? He pulls out a thick stack of cash, tapping it rhythmically against her shoulder. I have plenty. His gaze turns predatory, locking onto her hollow eyes to make sure she hears him clearly. But you? You won't get a single penny from me ever again. Jing stands there, frozen. Her jaw drops, her body paralyzed by his sudden, icy transformation and the sight of the cash. And don't think I don't know about you and Li Shuhong's little affair behind my back. The color drains from her face, replaced by a sickly pale terror as her secret is exposed. Her mind races in a panic. How could this weakling possibly know her deepest, darkest secret? Did he catch us? No, that's impossible. How did he find out about me and Shuhong? Sensing the killing intent, the friend steps in, trying to play the fake mediator to keep the peace. Now, let's all calm down. It's just a lover's quarrel, right? Jing stays speechless with rage. Without another word, Xiaoyong slams the door shut, leaving his pathetic past in the dust. He spat out every bitter word left in his soul. Misunderstanding? What a load of trash. You and that old man deserve each other. Now, get lost before I lose my mind. With a thunderous bang, our hero Jiang Xiaoyong slammed the door on that shameless woman's face. Get out of my sight. Just looking at you people makes my skin crawl. It's sickening. Cui Jing stood there, frozen in shock, not because she lost him, but because her perfect web of lies had unraveled. How could he possibly know? I wiped every trace of those hotel stays. It's impossible. Defeated and humiliated, the two gold diggers retreated toward the elevator, their pride in tatters. As they waited, the best friend reached out with a look of fake concern, sensing the tension. Jing, why didn't you tell me? Are you really that close with that old guy, Li Shuhong? Cui Jing crossed her arms, looking away. We only went to the motel a few times. It's not a big deal. The best friend's head started spinning. This was a complete and total disaster. She sighed, massaging her temples in frustration. This is bad. Let's head back and figure out a way to fix this mess. Cui Jing nodded weakly, her voice trembling. Yeah, that's all we can do for now. The doors chimed and slid open. They both stepped into the silent, cold metal box. Behind Cui Jing's back, the friend's face shifted. The mask of sympathy dropped, revealing a predatory glint. Cui Jing, you've officially blown it with him. Which means, he's fair game for me now. She suppressed a wicked laugh. That's what sisters are for, right? She'd wanted Xiaoyong for ages, and now the path was clear. With their relationship in ruins, she was ready to swoop in and claim the prize for herself. Having cut out the toxic weight of those two women, Xiaoyong headed straight to his new property. He arrived at the half-finished factory, his eyes scanning the site with cold, calculated precision. How long to renovate this place? He asked, spreading the blueprints out for the contractor, Manager Li. Manager Li listed the demands: reinforced walls, watchtowers, Texas steel mesh, and heavy-duty bulletproof glass. The contractor folded the plans, eyeing Xiaoyong with a nervous, playful grin. Mind if I ask, kid? Just who exactly are you hiding from? The mob? Xiaoyong's eyes narrowed, his voice dropping to a dangerous chill. Curiosity killed the cat, old man. Just do your job. 1 month. How much? Manager Li nearly choked when he heard the deadline. 1 month? Are you insane? That's impossible, even with a miracle. Xiaoyong didn't blink. Make it happen, or I'll find a company that actually wants to stay in business. Manager Li groaned. Lord have mercy, my men need to actually sleep to stay alive. Xiaoyong smirked coldly. Since when did a boss like you care about being humane? The contractor's eyes gleamed with greed. Well, money can buy a lot of miracles, you know? Xiaoyong's expression remained deadpan. How much? Manager Li held up 2 fingers, hesitating. To finish this in a month, I'll have to work my crew to the bone. It'll cost at least this much. Xiaoyong glanced at those 2 fingers. 2 billion? Is that all? Exactly. But I need 500 million up front, or we don't start. I've got bills to pay. Fine. You'll have the money within a week. Get your men started immediately. The contractor hesitated. A week? Working without cash in hand was a huge risk. Xiaoyong patted his shoulder, his voice firm. Relax. I'm not going to stiff you on the bill. If the money doesn't show, the land is yours. Consider it my guarantee. Manager Li weighed the risks and sighed. All right, kid. You've got yourself a deal. Somehow, the best friend had tracked him down. She arrived at the construction site, looking for her prey. She skipped toward him, a playful, sugary sweet smile plastered on her face. Oh, Mr. Jiang! Before he could react, she lunged forward, grabbing his arm and pressing herself against him with a flirtatious giggle. Xiaoyong flinched, trying to pull away, but she clung to him like a desperate leech. Using every fox trick in the book, she rubbed against his arm and pouted. Honey, what are you doing out here? Having her head pressed against my shoulder. It's absolutely revolting. Watching this venomous snake squirm around me, my blood begins to boil. This green tea leech. In my past life, she and her friend bled my family dry. I'll pay you back 2-fold this time. Suppressing my loathing, I force a calm, normal tone. What are you doing here? Ignoring me, she clings tighter, her greedy eyes fixed on my land. With a fake, sugary smile, she chirps toward me with feigned innocence. Big brother, is this your new land? It's gorgeous. You're building a massive mansion here, right? Her voice is sweet, but coming from a manipulative snake, it sounds like nails on a chalkboard. I violently shove her away, creating a cold, impenetrable distance between us. My gaze pierces her like a bullet. What I do is absolutely none of your business. Stunned, this little parasite stares at me, completely shocked by my sudden, icy rejection. I walk away, focusing solely on the construction. Behind me, she stands fuming, teeth gritted in rage. Confusion clouds her face. What the hell is going on with him? She wonders. Why is this loser acting so strange? Usually, his face turns red if I just touch his hand. But today, even when I try to seduce him, he doesn't even flinch. Spotting the surveyors, I rush over and point toward the foundation. No, that's not right. The main gate needs to be twice as wide. I leave the bewildered girl shouting after me. Truly shameless. If her friend is a devil, she's the queen of hell, hunting men for sport. Her fists clench with pure malice. She'll steal me from her friend just to claim this land. I can't let this golden opportunity slip through my fingers, she hisses to herself. Kui Jing is already failing. If I just crush her, this entire estate becomes mine. Back home, I collapse onto my sofa, mind racing. Only the mission matters now. Everyone else is noise. I stare at the 2 red property deeds on the table, calculating my next move. 300 million from the bank isn't enough for phase 1. I need more cash, and fast. My hand rests on the deeds as a dark, desperate plan begins to take shape. Wait, that's it. The apocalypse is coming. Why not sell this house to everyone at once? It's a perfect victimless scam that won't matter once the world burns to ashes. They won't need money in the wasteland anyway. Decision made. Let's do this. Asterisk, bam, bam, asterisk. Aggressive pounding shakes my front door. A man's voice starts screaming like a maniac. Open up. Open this damn door right now, kid. Damn it. Not this headache again. I already know it's that insufferable neighbor from downstairs. I stand up and head toward the door, my patience wearing dangerously thin. It's Old Man Lee, no doubt, the greediest, most entitled bastard in the entire building. He's power hungry. He already owns 2 floors and won't stop until he has my floor too. I was saving this place for my wedding, so I've always refused his pathetic offers. He's been harassing me for weeks, dumping paint and trash at my door to break my spirit. I rip the door open. There stands the old miser, looking as petty and wretched as ever. He immediately starts shrieking at me. Were you jumping around up here all night again? I've had enough. I grip the door tight, my voice booming with newfound authority. Are you done shouting? I was fast asleep before 10 p.m. last night. Jumping? You're delusional. He puffs his chest out, yelling louder. I know what I heard. I don't have the energy for this petty, small-minded bickering anymore. I wave him off dismissively, looking away in pure exhaustion and utter disgust. Stop. Just stop. You want this apartment so badly, don't you? Fine, I'll sell it to you. The old man freezes, unable to believe his luck. Old Man Lee gasped, his face lighting up with sudden hope. Are you for real? Tudong crossed his arms, his gaze chilling. On one condition. Lee's eyes narrowed instantly. Name it! Having the upper hand, Tudong didn't hold back his demands. I stay here for 6 months until my new apartment is ready. Also, pay 5 million up front. I need that loan cleared immediately. As Lee hesitated, Tudong didn't wait. He grabbed the door handle. No deal? Then we're done here, he muttered, closing the door. Panicked, Lee jammed his hand in, desperate to stop him. Wait, I'll do it. Lee insisted on a contract to trap his prey, but Tudong remained unfazed. A contract? Fine by me, don't worry about a thing. Internally, Tudong smirked. Keep dreaming, old man. You're walking straight into hell. Moments later, the transaction hit. Lee had transferred the full amount for the house. Checking his phone, Tudong saw 500 million land in his account. With his 300 million loan, his war chest hit 800 million. System alert. New quest secure land and stockpile supplies for 1 year. Progress, 0. A 10-point reward waited. Tudong reached out, but the claim button remained locked. First things first, he thought. Let's knock out these system quests and get paid. The scene shifts to the city's massive, ultra-modern mega mall. Armed with cash, Tudong began his frantic shopping spree, filling carts like a madman. System update. Annual supplies stockpiled. Progress, 359 out of 365. Onlookers stared, whispering about the strange man hoarding enough food to feed an army. Look at him, a man whispered. He's clearly lost his mind. A woman pulled away in disgust. Stay back. He looks dangerous and unstable. Ignoring them, Tudong crashed his carts together, a mountain of supplies trailing behind him. The judgmental pair couldn't look away from Tudong's relentless pace. He's drenched in sweat, she noted. Why on earth would anyone need that much? The man let out a mocking laugh. Another idiot falling for those doomsday rumors. Suddenly, a sharp ding echoed. All that hard work finally paid off. Quest complete. Disaster preparedness. All requirements met. Reward, 10 system points added. Current balance, 10. Tudong immediately opened the system store, searching for something to give him an edge. In the apocalypse, stats are everything. This protagonist supply box is exactly 10 points. It was a gamble, but Tudong didn't hesitate for a single second. I need every advantage I can get. Let's go with the protagonist box. He slammed the confirm button. Exchange successful. 10 points deducted. Current balance, 0 points. A mystical chest materialized, pulsing with cosmic energy and glowing question marks. The lid creaked open, revealing a tangent silver ring set with a massive purple diamond. An information window popped up, detailing the relic's incredible power. Level 1 spatial ring, 500 square meters. Internal time is frozen indefinitely. The ring floated toward him, bathed in an ethereal, blinding light. Tudong stared, completely mesmerized. His jaw dropped at the sheer beauty of it. Yes, I knew it, my first pull and I hit the jackpot. He admired the ring, his mind racing. A subdimension where time stands still? That means my food will never rot. This is beyond perfect. Just as I tasted victory, the apocalypse system chimed with a new mission. Mission, 10 years of survival. Rewards await. Suddenly a roar pierced the air. Who's there? A man barked, storming forward with an arrogant, untouchable stride. Behind him stood 2 guards. In that suit, he clearly ran this mall. The square-jawed man approached, stopping dead the moment our eyes locked. Jiang Xiaoyong? He knew me, yet his face remained a mask of malice. I recognized him instantly. Yang Tao? Is that really you? No warm reunion here. My face mirrored the sheer disgust I felt. Yang Tao, an old-school rival. Our history was written in bitter blood. I remembered middle school. He was nothing but Zhang Sheng's loyal dog, a coward who preyed on the weak but trembled before the strong. I recalled the days he'd corner me, demanding protection money like a king. He'd bark orders, claiming I owed 10 yuan from the week before. I wasn't a coward then. Go get it from your master, I'd spat. My mind raced through our past. We were always at each other's throats. I never expected our paths to cross in a place like this. Suddenly, Yang Tao's finger was in my face. What's your game, Xiaoyong? Put everything back now, or I'll show you what regret feels like. He saw a commoner buying out the store and smelled a chance for revenge. I knew his type too well. I kept my cool and smiled. Heh, Yang Tao, still trying to play the big bad bully? I'm a customer. Is this how you treat people spending millions here? Standing among my mountain of carts, I gave him a gaze of steel. His arrogance flared. Instead of backing down, he became even more aggressive. A customer? He sneered, pointing that rude finger right at my nose. Then pay up now, or my guards will get heavy-handed with you. I wondered how a low-life thug managed to land a job this big. An hour passed. My endless receipt finally finished printing from the machine. 4 cashiers were sweating over my bill, while Yang Tao watched like a hawk. Total? he barked. The cashier's hands trembled as she held the paper. 5.6 million, she whispered, handing over the card reader. Yang Tao screamed in my face, "Pay up! Don't just stand there!" I stayed silent, reaching into my pocket for the legendary black card. Asterisk swipe. Asterisk. One decisive motion. The very air seemed to vibrate with power. My eyes burned with suppressed rage. Asterisk beep. Asterisk. Transaction successful. It was over. Yang Tao's eyes nearly popped out. He stood there, grinding his teeth. "Success?" he hissed. Without a word, he turned to flee with his guards. "You think you can just walk away after that?" I shouted. My voice boomed through the mall. "Stop right where you are, Yang Tao!" He froze, fists clenched in fury. I just smirked at his pathetic display. "You're going to apologize for that attitude right now," I demanded, "or I return it all." He turned, still trying to argue his way out. "There are people watching! Don't push me! You're just looking for trouble!" Pure hypocrisy. The bully was now playing the victim in front of everyone. But the crowd saw the truth. All eyes were on the fallen manager. A beautiful bystander couldn't watch the injustice anymore. She snapped at Duong Dao to defend Xiao Yong. "Weren't you being incredibly rude just now? All he's asking for is a simple apology." That wasn't asking for much. A tall, handsome guy nearby nodded in agreement and joined the confrontation. "Exactly. Apologize now or we're all taking our business elsewhere." Luck was on Xiao Yong's side. A top influencer standing right there had been filming Duong Dao the entire time. "I caught everything on camera. Apologize now, or the whole country will see what a scumbag you are." Xiao Yong remained perfectly calm. He maintained his cool composure and gave Duong Dao a gentle reminder. "If you apologize sincerely, I'll buy 10 times the current stock." Duong Dao scoffed. "Stop bluffing." Xiao Yong pulled out a legendary black card. With a confident smirk, he laughed and issued a challenge. "Bluffing? Bring the card reader here. I'll show you exactly how much I'm worth." Seeing the sleek black card, Duong Dao panicked. He nervously handed over the machine for the transaction. Asterisk. Swipe. Asterisk. Xiao Yong swiped the card with a swift, decisive motion, the ultimate flex of a true tycoon. Duong Dao stared at the screen, his eyes nearly popping out. What? Over 7 billion? He had just picked a fight with a monster. A hidden billionaire was standing right in front of him. The tycoon's expression turned cold. "Apologize. I'll only finish the deal once you've shown some respect." "If I'm lying, I'll call you grandfather." Inside, Xiao Yong felt a surge of pure satisfaction. This stung Duong Dao's pride. He looked old enough to be Xiao Yong's uncle, making the mockery even more humiliating. Under the crushing weight of wealth, Duong Dao began to break out in a cold sweat. He stood there, fuming but silenced. This was a brutal lesson for a bully who only respected power. He bowed a full 90 degrees, suppressing his shame. He looked absolutely pathetic before Xiao Yong. "I am deeply sorry," he shouted. It was a far cry from his previous arrogant self. Xiao Yong stepped closer and patted his head like a disobedient dog. "Don't be so reckless next time, okay?" Duong Dao's face twisted as he struggled to contain his explosive rage. He looked like a ticking time bomb. He was a total sycophant, a man who kissed the boots of the rich while trampling the weak. As Xiao Yong turned to leave, Duong Dao's face instantly shifted into a mask of groveling respect. "Brother Yong, what do you need all these supplies for?" Xiao Yong ignored him, cold and indifferent. Switching personas in a heartbeat, Duong Dao flashed a sickeningly sweet smile, his eyes crinkling with greed. His boisterous voice was gone, replaced by a subservient whisper. The hunter had become the prey. "A big business venture? Are the local markets not enough for a man of your stature?" Xiao Yong paused. "You've worked here for years. You must know where the real suppliers are." "Of course. Do you remember Trong Thang Triet? He's currently controlling the entire local supply chain." Within seconds, the eager Duong Dao was already dialing Trong Thang Triet's number on his phone. He looked like he'd struck gold, acting with a pathetic level of enthusiasm to please his new master. "Hey, Brother Thang, I've found a massive client for you." Xiao Yong waited, arms crossed and expressionless. It was as expected. Duong Dao was still just a loyal lapdog for Trong Thang Triet. Who knew how much dirty money these two had squeezed out of the Hua Ruan Fat supermarket? Moments later, Xiao Yong and Duong Dao were waiting outside the massive warehouse for the boss's arrival. Duong Dao rambled about the inventory, failing to notice a car speeding toward them like a guided missile. The black luxury sedan screeched to a halt right at Duong Dao's feet, sending him into a panicked dance. But Xiao Yong didn't flinch. His nerves were made of pure steel as he stood his ground. He stared down the driver, unimpressed. Is this guy trying to cause an accident or just show off? Out stepped Trong Thang Triet, draped in a dramatic knee-length trench coat. He looked like a low-budget villain. He slammed the door and puffed on a thick cigar, trying way too hard to look intimidating. He blew a cloud of smoke, looking 50 years old despite being the same age as Xiao Yong. After one last puff, he hurried toward Duong Dao. Is this the VIP you mentioned on the phone? Duong Dao chirped like a frantic bird. Brother Thang, it's Tudung. Remember him? Meanwhile, Tudung stood firm, hands in his pockets, waiting for the circus to begin. Puffing on a half-burnt cigarette, Thang squinted through the haze. Who? Dao eagerly repeated the name. Our high school classmate. The name clicked. The chaotic air suddenly turned heavy and cold. Taking a long, dark drag, he growled. Right. I remember him now. Facing his old victim, Thang's cruelty flared. He blew a thick cloud of smoke into Dung's face. Tudung's eyes were like ice-cold daggers, sharp enough to cut the man in two. Some trash never changes. Thang was still the same arrogant bully who preyed on the weak. Greedy and vile, he acted like the world's king while clutching a cheap cigarette. Hands in pockets, he sneered with a punchable face. Oh, that stubborn brat from back then? Thang stepped closer, invading Tudung's space with a menacing, superior grin. He grabbed Tudung's hoodie string, inspecting it with pure disgust. Wait, is this a knockoff? Ha, you're still pathetic. Broke as hell but trying to look the part? Insults flew, but Tudung remained ice cold. Is this brand name? I honestly wouldn't know. I just bought it at some roadside stall. Thang's brows furrowed as he grabbed Dao. His fingers dug into Dao's head before violently shoving him aside like garbage. Veins popped on Thang's neck. This is your big client? This piece of trash? You're wasting my damn time. Dao could only cower, praying the storm would pass. To a beast like Thang, Dao was nothing more than a stray dog to be kicked. After the shove came a brutal kick. Brother Thang, I swear, he's a big spender. Thang wasn't buying it. His roar echoed through the warehouse like a wild animal. Big client my ass. I've seen enough beggars to know who actually has money. Watching the pathetic circus, Tudung finally spoke. I guess I don't look the part. His expression turned cold as steel. My aura must be lacking today. With a mocking smirk, he added, even a blind, illiterate thug can't recognize true power. That was the final straw. Thang's rage boiled over into a murderous, red fury. He spun around and grabbed Tudung's collar, his face twisted in a dark snarl. What did you just say? Tudung didn't flinch. He stood like an immovable mountain. A faint, dangerous smile played on his lips as he leaned into Thang's face. Every word he uttered next was like a poisoned needle piercing the man's ego. I said you have dog eyes. You're illiterate and blind to the truth. Tudung was playing with fire now, his tone dripping with mock confusion. Or should I just call you a blind idiot? The situation reached a breaking point. Panicking, Dao jumped in to help. Brother Dung, stop, don't mention his weakness. He's really illiterate and hates being called that. Dao's stupidity had officially crossed the line. That remark earned Dao a devastating kick that sent him flying into the corner. Tudung's words were a knife, and Dao's help was the salt in the wound. Still gripping Tudung's collar, Thang screamed at Dao. Shut your mouth or I'll kill you! Reverting to his thug instincts, he glared. A big client, you say? If you don't buy a whole truckload today, neither of you leaves this place alive. Tudung calmly pulled out his phone, his voice steady and completely unfazed. Let go of my collar. Just give me your bank account number already. Thang froze in confusion. He wasn't expecting the victim to agree so easily. Tudung wasn't scared. He just needed supplies before the apocalypse hit in 30 days. Ding! A notification popped up. 100 million had just hit Thang's account. His jaw hit the floor at the sight of 100 million. You serious about this? Xiaoyang snapped. Do I look like I'm here to play games? Here is the deposit for 500 million in goods. Load the first batch now. He grabbed the thug's collar, forcing the man to act right for once. So, what exactly are you looking for? The greedy dealer asked, crossing his arms. Everything essential, rice, oil, canned drinks. Just give me stuff that is easy to consume. Thang Chiet finally caught on and nodded. Fine, follow me then. Inside, that snake was already celebrating his lucky break and plotting his next move. He finally found a sucker to take all his nearly expired junk off his hands. The warehouse was massive, packed to the ceiling with mountain-high crates of supplies. The sly fox started his pitch, trying to offload the rotting inventory for full price. Pay it all now, and I will give you 10% off the wholesale price. I knew this rat was up to no good from the very first moment. I ignored his pitch and walked toward the rice bags, my voice turning ice cold. The two men watched my every move as I inspected a single bag of rice. Something felt off. I stared at the bag in silence before hoisting it high. It was time to tear his little mask off and reveal the truth. Everything inside was nearly rotten. I glared at him with pure, unadulterated contempt. Your little scheme just hit a wall, didn't it, Thang Cheat? Damn it, he thought. This kid knows far more than he is letting on. Fine, take the expired stuff and I will give you 50% off. I did not walk away. Instead, I gave him a deal he could not refuse. I have a very specific use for this nearly expired food, I said firmly. What use? What are you talking about? He asked, looking completely baffled. 50% off? and I take it all. But there is one catch. I grip the rice bag tight and prepared to lay down the law. I will pay the full balance in 1 month. Take it or leave it. Greed won out. He agreed instantly, his eyes gleaming with hidden malice and joy. But if the food expires and you do not pay, what then, huh? Relax. If I fail, my entire house belongs to you, I answered calmly. Why do you want rotten food? Who are you even selling this to? A distribution channel? I do not need one of those for this deal. I am the final destination, I whispered, staring straight through his greedy soul. In a few days, even fresh food will be completely worthless anyway. Cold sweat poured down his face as my words hit home like a hammer. The greedy rat was cornered. What do you mean by that? I checked my phone, acting like time was slipping through my fingers like sand. Stop asking questions and just ship the goods. I need them right now. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. A voice asked, "Is this Mr. Kwong?" "Who is calling?" I asked, my heart beginning to race with sudden tension. "Are you the one selling the old house?" My blood turned to absolute ice. My mind raced. I had just promised that house to 2 different people. "I'm busy. Just follow my instructions regarding the food shipment immediately." I put on a show, acting like I was managing a dozen different suppliers. I walked away alone, leaving those 2 fools staring at my back in confusion. Duong Dao hovered nervously, whispering to Zhang Thong Triet, "Brother Chi, I didn't lie, right?" Meanwhile, Thong Triet couldn't shake his growing suspicion. Damn it. This kid clearly comes from a completely ordinary background. How on earth did he amass such a massive fortune so quickly? Leaving the confused group behind, Jiang Xiaoyong approached his next buyer. The man pulled open his bag, revealing thick, heavy stacks of cold, hard cash. This particular client was an elderly gentleman, dressed humbly with hair dusted in silver. With a kind expression, he held out the money and spoke honestly. "I accept your condition to vacate the house in 3 months. Come, let us sign the contract first." Xiaoyong stood before the old man, speechless and lost in dark thought. This old man didn't even bother with a proper inspection before dropping a deposit and demanding to sign. Is he truly that desperate to get his hands on my property? Sensing something deeper, Xiaoyong decided to probe. "Old sir, do you really need this house that urgently?" The old man's gaze was incredibly gentle. He looked up with sincerity. "I won't hide it from you. My granddaughter is transferring schools, and we need this home to stabilize our lives. I have scouted this area many times, but yours is the only house actually for sale. Sir, please, whatever you do not regret this deal." The old man's desperate honesty tugged at Xiaoyong's heart. He gave a faint smile and replied, "Old sir, you are far too honest for your own good. You shouldn't have revealed your hand so early. Weren't you afraid I would hike the price?" At the mention of a price hike, the old man's face drained of color. Terrified, he began to plead with Xiaoyong. "Wait, Mr. Jiang, this money represents the entire life savings of my granddaughter and me. Please, don't." To ease his anxiety, Xiaoyong cut him off, clutching the sales contract to reassure him. "Rest easy, old sir. I will not back out." Moments later, Xiaoyong signed the document, and the old man's joy was instantaneous. The fear vanished from his face, his eyes lighting up with relief. He beamed with excitement, exclaiming, "Ha! Wonderful! This is truly wonderful." Once the deal was sealed, the old man didn't linger. He gathered his belongings and slung his cloth bag over his shoulder. He bowed deeply and respectfully to Xiaoyong before departing. "Mr. Jiang, you must be busy, so I won't trouble you any longer." "Understood," Xiaoyong replied softly. But as the man turned to leave, Xiaoyong's expression darkened with heavy contemplation. These kind-hearted people from the lower class, in the coming apocalypse, they likely won't survive the first month. Before the old man could get far, Xiaoyong reached out to stop him. "Wait! Old sir, hold on a moment." The old man turned back, confused. "Yes? Is something wrong, sir?" Xiaoyong stared at him. "Tell me, where are you living right now?" It was clear our protagonist intended to save this man and his granddaughter when the great disaster finally struck. Perhaps he felt a flicker of guilt for taking money from the truly innocent. This was his way of paying a debt to their fate. With the house sold, one phase was complete. Xiaoyong shifted his focus to his land project, heading to the construction site to inspect the progress. The contractor spotted him and rushed over with a warm welcome, respectfully guiding Xiaoyong through the site. Seizing the opportunity, the contractor leaned in close to discuss the finances, Boss Jiang, about the second deposit. Understanding the man's hint immediately, Xiaoyong didn't let him beat around the bush. He scanned the perimeter and said, "I will transfer it to you shortly. Now, tell me about the construction progress." The contractor pointed toward the ceiling and the main entrance. "We are 80% finished. Look here, the walls, the doors, the ceiling. Everything is reinforced and absolutely secure. You can trust our work." Xiaoyong looked up, following the man's hand. Everything seemed to be in order. He asked the critical question, "And what about the warehouse?" The contractor explained enthusiastically that the warehouse was a pre-built section that had been cleared and was ready for immediate use. Excellent, Xiaoyong praised, sending a wave of relief over the contractor's face. As the man grinned, Xiaoyong wasted no time pulling out his phone to call Zhang Thang Triet. Thang Triet, get the goods moving now! Within hours, the industrial warehouse was buzzing with intense activity. Workers were busy hoisting crates onto shelves 10 meters high. The workers chatted excitedly among themselves. Easy does it. This boss is incredibly generous. One worker cheered. 2 million for this simple job? This guy is a saint. Another noted. This place looks like some kind of survival shelter. His companion replied sharply. What do you know? High pay means high stakes. Just keep moving. The wealthy always cling to life the most. I clutched my inventory list, watching the workers like a hawk while directing every crate to its perfect spot. I pointed toward a different section, calling out to a laborer pushing a heavy cart of greens. Keep the perishables separate. Fruits and vegetables need their own climate-controlled zone, so do not mix them up. The worker gave me a reassuring grin. You got it, boss. Leave it to us. We labored through the afternoon until the facility glowed under the midnight lights. Everything was finally staged. The crew left the warehouse exhausted, yet their pockets were heavy with the generous bonuses I had handed out. Silence finally fell, leaving me standing all alone in the massive shadow of the storehouse. I crossed my arms, feeling a surge of pride as I surveyed the results of my grueling labor over the past few days. For the first time since my reincarnation, I could finally breathe. A smirk played on my lips as I commanded the air. System. Finalize the mission. The interface flickered to life. Mission. 10 years of food and warmth complete. System points earned. 20. Current total. 20. With my new currency in hand, I opened the system shop. My eyes widened when I spotted a mysterious new treasure chest. I couldn't hide my excitement. Oh, this system actually updated with a brand new inventory category. The shop displayed Physical Enhancement Potion for 20 points, Level 1 Doomsday Farmer Crate for 2, and a Level 1 Ability Awakening Crate for 10. I scanned the options, deep in thought. My luck was holding up. Obtaining a supernatural power before the world falls apart is a total game changer. Without hesitation, I selected the Ability Awakening Crate. The system chimed instantly. Exchange successful. 10 points deducted. Remaining balance. 10 points. As the notification faded, a shimmering skill card materialized. It depicted a mysterious, glowing eye etched in ancient symbols. It was the level 1 Mind's Eye. Its trait, the absolute ability to detect if someone harbors hostile intent toward me. I read the description and let out a triumphant laugh. A hostility detector? Are you serious? Haha, in the early days of the apocalypse, this is easily one of the most broken survival skills I could ask for. With that mission closed, the system pinged again with a new directive. Mission, armed to the teeth. Requirement, fully equip yourself with combat gear. Reward, 10 points plus a high-tier random bonus. Ready for the next challenge? A dangerous glint appeared in my eyes. I pulled up my hood and tilted my head with a dark, knowing smile. Perfect. That was exactly what I was planning next. I headed to the midnight market, a den of thieves selling stolen relics and illegal goods. It was a place where middlemen and desperate souls traded secrets for profit. The market was swarming tonight, a chaotic symphony of noise and shadows. I left my new warehouse behind to prowl through the stalls. Most people here were thugs and outlaws who viewed the law as a mere suggestion. I moved with caution, keeping my guard up. All around me, suspicious whispers and heated arguments filled the air. Damn it, are you lying to me? One more word and you will realize who you are dealing with, amateur. Is that price for real? Forget it. One man lowered his voice, clutching a contraband item close to his chest. Shut it. I dug this Mawang blade out of the dirt just yesterday. Nearby, someone gasped in disbelief. Whoa, you are telling me this is the actual skull of the young Emperor Qin? Suddenly, I heard a voice that made my blood run cold. Someone was haggling nearby, begging for a discount. Come on, make it 3 million. The vendor snapped back. No way, I cannot go that low. I was about to walk past when I caught a glimpse of the person behind that familiar, irritating voice. Just as I suspected, it was Li Shuhyung, standing there with his arms crossed, locked in a verbal war with the shopkeeper. His face was red with frustration as he shouted, 200,000 for this jade bracelet? It is obviously a cheap knockoff. If you give it to me for 100,000, you will still be making a massive profit on this junk. Take it or leave it. If you say no, I am walking. Seeing him lose his temper, the vendor quickly tried to de-escalate. Fine. Calm down, man. I will sell it to you at that price. I watched from the shadows, scoffing. That pathetic scoundrel Li Shuhyong was really scouring the black market for fake jade? It all made sense now. He was just playing rich to trick that gold digger, Kui Jing. I couldn't help but smirk. Ha ha, Kui Jing, you stupid girl. You actually threw everything away just to be scammed by a bottom feeder like him? Asterisk clang. Asterisk, a heavy iron blade hit the table, wedged between two other lethal weapons. They were jagged, cruel, and built for killing. The sharp sound drew me in. I stopped in the middle of the path, staring at a roadside stall covered in wicked-looking daggers. Other shoppers passed by with uneasy glances, but I didn't move. I smiled, knowing I had finally found exactly what I needed. There you are. I stepped toward the weapon stall, my hand reaching for the cold, lethal steel. Jiang Xiaoyong weighed a blade in his hand. Looking up, he asked the vendor, "Got anything tougher than this?" The owner was a mountain of a man with a gaze that screamed trouble. He gestured lazily at a whetstone. "That's as tough as it gets. Buy it and sharpen it yourself. If that is too much work, go find a stick to play with." Xiaoyong's expression darkened. "Still too soft. I need something far more lethal." The air grew heavy. The hot-tempered vendor narrowed his eyes, sensing a challenge. His thick brows furrowed. "What is your angle, kid? You here to pick a fight?" Suddenly, ding, a notification flashed. 20 million credits just hit the vendor's account. The man stared at his screen, frozen. Who would drop that kind of cash without a word? Turns out, our protagonist was not just acting tough, he'd already scanned the hidden payment code. Xiaoyong flashed the digital receipt with a smirk. "Relax, big guy. Consider this a down payment." The vendor stood there, completely dumbfounded by the sudden display of wealth. He barked at his assistant playing games nearby. "Xiaoxiang, take over the counter now!" The gamer was dazed, but money talks, and it talks loudly. The vendor's hostility vanished instantly, replaced by a cautious, professional respect. "Not here," he whispered. He led Xiaoyong deep into a maze-like alleyway. They entered a private room. With a greedy grin, the dealer produced a case containing a black handgun. "A custom piece, boss. It will drop a target with no problem at all. Ammo is cheap too. What do you think?" Xiaoyong just stared back with icy indifference. "Not interested," he replied. The dealer realized this was no ordinary customer. He paused, racking his brain before presenting a different, deadlier model. "This is a high-end replica, matching the specs of a standard-issue sidearm. 5 million for the piece, 50,000 per round. Does that suit you?" Xiaoyong crossed his arms, his eyes gleaming like daggers from the shadows. "It is okay, I guess, but for a $20 million deposit, this is an insult." The dealer had only shown him low-tier gear, matching his initial payment. But Xiaoyong was hunting for something far more devastating. The dealer stammered, his eyes wide. "A deposit for what? That was just 10%. I'm here to spend 200 million on hardware." The sheer weight of Xiaoyong's aura made the dealer sweat. This guy was a kingpin. The man felt his heart skip a beat. "Big brother, what are you planning? Why come to a small fry like me?" Xiaoyong leaned into the role of a seasoned underworld leader. "Usually I do not handle such trivial errands myself." Xiaoyong lied smoothly. "My subordinates usually take care of the heavy lifting. But things have changed. Just tell me, can you deliver the goods or not?" The dealer's eyes lit up like he had struck gold. "Wait right here!" He scrambled to lock every entrance and bolt the windows tight. He peered through the curtains, scanning the street for any unwanted shadows. Xiaoyong smirked. When big money was involved, the man's true instincts took over. The dealer returned, his face set in a mask of grim determination. "You found the right guy." He leaned in, whispering directly into Xiaoyong's ear. "Write the list. Meet me at midnight 2 days from now. Bring a truck." Xiaoyong nodded, playing the part of the mysterious tycoon perfectly. The shopkeeper saw Hung Tio Dung off with the utmost respect. He hurried ahead to lead the way, whispering, "Careful now, big brother. Watch your step." Just as he cleared the door, a snide, familiar voice rang out. "Well, look who it is." Dung narrowed his eyes, instantly recognizing the pathetic Li Thu Hung among the crowd. With a mocking smirk, Hung sneered, "What's a loser like you doing in the black market? Tell me, how'd you suddenly get so much cash to burn lately, huh?" He brought up Thoi Tin to provoke Dung, certain he was just selling family heirlooms. The creep leaned in close, stroking his filthy beard right in Dung's face. "Well, selling off everything just to live comfortably for a day? How pathetic can you get?" The man was as loud as he was delusional, a true bottom feeder looking for trouble. Dung stayed silent, ignoring the barking dog as he remembered his newly awakened system power. A cold smirk played on Dung's lips. It was time to test his new divine gift. He mentally activated his new skill, the Eye of Spiritual Insight. Suddenly, a spectral blue flame ignited in his eye, glowing with an eerie, otherworldly light. Instantly, the raw emotions of everyone nearby were laid bare before his gaze. A happy green icon floated over the shopkeeper, while Hung bore a hateful purple mask. "It works perfectly," Dung thought. He pointed a mocking finger at Hung's recent purchase. "So what if I am? And remind me, who the hell are you again?" "Oh, the guy Thoi Tin sleeps with? Did she trade her body for that junk?" "Makes sense." She's just my discarded trash after all. She fits you perfectly. Hung's face twisted in pure rage. He gripped his bag tight, ready to kill. Above his head, the purple icon turned blood red as his hostility reached a breaking point. He puffed his chest out, screaming like a madman. "What did you just say to me?" Sensing the tension, the shopkeeper stepped up. "Big brother, is this insect bothering you?" Doong turned away with cold indifference. "An acquaintance? No, just a walking corpse." To protect his VIP guest, the shopkeeper signaled his hulking bodyguards to surround the area. "Say no more, big brother," the shopkeeper bowed. "Please, leave this trash to us." Doong started to walk away, but paused to give one final, chilling instruction. "Whatever you do, don't take his life just yet. His life belongs to me." The thugs cracked their knuckles, ready for blood. Once Doong vanished from sight, the shopkeeper and his men closed in on Hung. They didn't say a word, their shadows looming over the terrified man like hungry wolves. Hung's bravado vanished. He stumbled back, his pathetic threats falling on deaf ears. What are you doing? Do you even know who I am?" With a flick of his wrist, the shopkeeper unfurled a gleaming, lethal steel whip. Reality finally hit Hung like a freight train. He was completely, utterly doomed. "Wait, big brother, please. Let's talk this out," he stammered, trembling with fear. A second later, the coward tripped over his own feet, crashing hard onto the pavement. No one helped. The crowd gathered only to enjoy the sight of his humiliation. An hour later, Hung lay broken in the dirt, covered in boot prints and agony. His heart burned with venom. He slammed his fist into the dirt, cursing Doong. "Just you wait, Kung Tio Doong." Meanwhile, 2 days later, at Doong's new factory. Under the cover of night, Doong stood before a massive shipment, eyes flashing with ambition. Ding, quest, armed to the teeth complete, 10 points awarded, current total, 20. His dangerous black market gamble had finally paid off in full. I stared at the mountain of AKs and sniper rifles, plus crates of ammo. This was a jackpot beyond my wildest dreams. Suddenly, the system chimed. A bonus reward, a physical enhancement potion +2. I gripped the glowing syringe. Its eerie light bathed half my face in a ghostly radiance. I couldn't hide my shock. A physical enhancement potion? Just like that? I raised the massive needle, grinning. +2? This is a total steal compared to the system shop. Time to power up. I rolled up my sleeve. Determination burned in my gut. I braced myself and slammed the needle home. Hurrah! I gritted my teeth as agonizing power flooded my veins. My eyes felt like they were on fire. Pure energy erupted within me. My muscles screamed, then hardened. Strength increased by 2 instantly. I clenched my fist, feeling the raw force pulsing through my knuckles. A normal man's average is 5. This meant I just gained a massive 40% power boost. I wasn't done. I quickly pulled up the system shop menu to see my options. Enhancement potions were 20 points. But I had a different plan for my remaining credits. I hit the manual refresh button. There it was. I decisively grabbed another enhancement potion. I gripped the new needle. I had to push my stats to the absolute limit right now. Afterward, a blazing aura of pure energy radiated from my skin. I felt invincible. I braced against the overwhelming pressure of my new power. I needed a target now. 8 points. 60% stronger than a normal human. My eyes locked onto some thick steel pipes. This will do. I grabbed a heavy steel rod, focusing every ounce of my intent on it. I lunged forward. My leg whipped out like a thunderbolt, snapping the steel like a twig. The rod slammed into the wall, twisted into a mangled mess as the concrete shattered around it. Ha ha ha. With this level of bare-handed power, no ordinary human could ever hope to touch me. I stared at the destruction I'd caused. This power. It was exactly what I needed to survive. Early-stage zombies? At this level, those mindless monsters won't even stand a chance against me. The energy finally settled into my marrow. I flexed my fingers, admiring the hidden lethality within them. I looked back at the mountain of weapons filling the truck. Time to pack up. These won't take up any space in my inventory. I raised my hand, activating the storage ring. In an instant, the heavy crates were devoured by the ring, disappearing into the void. The truck was barren. I stared into the distance, the weight of the future pressing down on me. 2 days left until the world ends. I need to think. What else have I forgotten? The great calamity was at the doorstep. My preparations were nearly flawless, but something felt off. I had 10 years of food, an arsenal of weapons, and superhuman strength. I was ready, but one heavy shadow still loomed over my heart, a debt I hadn't truly paid. I'd tricked a desperate old man into giving me his life savings for a condemned house. I remembered his hopeful face, and a sharp spike of regret pierced my chest. "My granddaughter needs this home for school," he'd said. He was just trying to protect her. "Your house was the only one available. Please, don't change your mind, Mr. Jiang." That old man's sincerity was a dagger to my conscience. I couldn't just let it go. I couldn't let them die in that trap, losing their lives and their hard-earned money at once. I clutched my head, cursing my own weakness. Damn it. Why can't I just be heartless? I've seen the absolute worst of the apocalypse, yet I still couldn't ignore these poor souls. Fine, I'll send them some essentials. I'll give them a fighting chance to survive. After that, their survival is in their own hands. I've done more than enough. This is my final repayment. They funded my survival, now I'll fund theirs. Early the next morning, I pulled up to their crumbling apartment in my sleek black sedan. I stepped out, staring up at this decaying building. What a long, bitter road it's been. Thank God for GPS, or I'd never find this tomb. No elevator? This climb will be brutal. I hiked up the concrete stairs toward the old man's unit. Every floor felt like an eternity. He's truly struggling. Renting a cheap attic in a dump like this? He's at the bottom. I reached his door and hesitated. I couldn't just pull supplies from thin air in front of him. I gave my spatial ring a quick, silent twist, readying the inventory. If he saw me conjuring crates out of nothing, things would get complicated way too fast. Better to manifest the goods now. Explaining a magic ring wasn't on today's agenda. The ring flashed, manifesting dozens of crates instantly. Inside, I heard him approaching the door. Asterisk. Knock, knock, knock. Asterisk. The old man hurried to the entrance, his voice echoing out. Coming, just a moment. He likely thought I was the landlord coming for rent. He promised to pay next week before even looking. Then, his eyes widened in total shock. His jaw dropped. He stared at me, his expression guarded and completely bewildered. Wait, aren't you Mr. Jiang? He swung the door wide, freezing at the sight of the hallway overflowing with supply crates. Mr. Jiang, what is all this? He stammered, unable to process the mountain of goods. I grabbed a crate and pushed inside. I'll explain everything in a bit, sir. But first, help me move these. We can't let the neighbors see this haul. A grueling few minutes later, the small room was packed to the ceiling with boxes. I stacked the last one. The old man leaned against the wall, gasping for air. You youngsters have monster-like stamina. You didn't even break a sweat carrying all that. I scanned the room's security. The room's decent. The door is sturdy enough, I guess. I looked out the window, deciding it was time for the cold, hard truth. Sir, listen to me carefully. What I'm about to say is life or death. He watched me, curious. Ration these well. If you're careful, they'll last 6 months. Starting tomorrow, the world is going to... I stopped. A photo on the desk caught me. My heart stopped. That one framed picture shattered my focus and my resolve completely. I stood frozen. The old man noticed my sudden silence and broke the tension. Something wrong? You can just leave the gear. We move into your place soon anyway. I didn't hear him. The girl in that photo. She was a ghost from my past. She was my comrade, the one who fought the undead at my side in that life. The world is too small. Is this... San-san? I whispered, my voice trembling. Every detail matched. She was the spitting image of my fallen sister in arms. I grabbed the frame. Sir, is her name Mung-san? He looked absolutely stunned. How do you know that? I never once mentioned her name to you. It really was her. This old man was San-san's grandfather. My gaze darkened. Where is she? Where is your granddaughter right now? She's at school, he said, waiting for your place to clear so she can transfer. In my past life, we met as lone survivors. We had no family left alive. I remembered her sobbing in the ruins, consumed by a soul-crushing, unbearable guilt. It's my fault, she'd wailed. I killed my grandfather. The memory burned like fire. She told me how he'd charged into a zombie-infested high school just to save her. He got her out safely, but he paid for her life with his own blood. I only came to give them temporary help and move on to my own path. But she was my comrade, and in that life, my failure had killed her. Gently setting the photo down, I swore to San, I'll make up for every regret in this life. I turned to the elder with a soft gaze. Sir, I'm afraid you can't move into my room after all. Mr. Jiang? Are you feeling all right? Sir? The old man trembled, terrified I was backing out of the deal. He couldn't afford a misunderstanding now. As he pleaded desperately, I placed a hand on his shoulder. It was time to tell him the cold, hard truth. Listen closely. Starting tomorrow, this world is going to become a living hell. Your granddaughter's grades, this house, and none of that matters anymore. The old man froze, his face a mask of pure disbelief. He couldn't tell if I was insane or serious. We're leaving. Right now. We're getting San from school and heading to a safe house. How could anyone believe the world was ending tomorrow? Baffled, the elder raised his brows, his voice trembling with confusion. Mr. Jiang, what on earth are you talking about? I don't understand a single word. Frustration bubbled within me. How do you explain the end of the world to someone who hasn't seen it? Looking at his aged face, I realized words wouldn't be enough. I needed to show him. I slowly twisted the ring on my finger, breaking down the situation in the simplest terms possible. "Do you remember the Great Famine?" I asked. The old man nodded solemnly. "I do." My eyes remained fixed on my ring as I continued. "Then you know how monstrous people become when they're starving, right?" He grew visibly tense. "I remember, but we're living in a time of peace. How could a famine happen now?" Before he could finish, I pointed my ring toward the center of the room. In an instant, the air distorted. Every piece of furniture was sucked into the ring's void. The elder stared, his jaw dropping at the impossible sight. Within seconds, the entire room was stripped bare. Not a single chair remained. Dust swirled at my feet. The old man staggered, his head spinning from the shock. His knees buckled as he spun around. Where? Where did everything go? It's all gone. Mr. Jiang, what kind of sorcery is this? Only a miracle like this could make a normal person believe the impossible. I raised my hand, the ring glowing with a violet light, while a blue aura flared in my eyes. I have awakened special abilities. I've seen the future, and it's dark. If you want San to survive, you must follow my lead. Now, where is her school? Moments later, my black luxury sedan screeched to a halt in front of San's school. The display of power had worked. The elder was now fully convinced. He couldn't take his eyes off me, still reeling from the shock. We rushed onto the campus. "Which classroom is she in? Where are the dorms?" I demanded. "I know the way," he cried. "Good. We have to be fast," I replied. Meanwhile, young San was facing a nightmare of her own, a gang of bullies. 2 girls in skirts stood in her path, blocking her escape. Behind them stood 3 thugs, wielding baseball bats like some twisted personal guard. The lead girl, dressed provocatively and caked in makeup, sneered with pure malice. She delivered a stinging slap that sent San reeling. "Listen here, you little brat," she shrieked. "I don't get it. What does Zhang Xiaochen see in a pathetic loser like you?" San was gentle and timid, much like her grandfather. Despite her bruised cheek, she whispered, I told you, there's nothing between us." She raised her hands feebly, trying to shield herself from the next blow. Suddenly, another girl lunged forward, burying her foot deep into San's stomach. "Still lying, are we?" Poor San takes another brutal kick to the gut. As she collapses in agony, the black-clad bully sneers and grabs her by the hair. Her eyes widen with pure malice as she yanks San's hair even harder, her rage reaching a boiling point. "What's that supposed to mean?" she mocks. "Are you actually claiming that Zhang Xiaochen is stalking you? And you're just ignoring him?" San screams as the pain becomes unbearable. But suddenly, an old man's roar thunders through the air. "Hey! What do you think you're doing to my granddaughter?" The bullies spin around, glaring at the intruders. It's late afternoon, and the old man and Jiang Xiaoyong have finally arrived. Seeing the chaos, they charge forward. The girl with the high bun scoffs, recognizing the newcomer immediately. "What? Isn't that your pathetic old man? Shouldn't he be at home making dinner right now?" San looks up in shock. "Grandpa? Why are you here?" The old man points a trembling finger at the bullies, his voice shaking with fury. "Stop this instant! Let her go!" Standing right behind him, Jiang Xiaoyong wears a look of absolute cold-blooded rage. That's when the 3 male bodyguards step out. The blonde leader casually flashes a lethal-looking dagger near his waist. His 2 cronies sneer with arrogance. These guys look like they've failed school so many times they've aged into old men. With a twisted smirk, the leader tries to intimidate the old man. "Back off, old-timer. This is youth business. Don't go meddling where you don't belong." But the old man has seen enough. Watching his granddaughter suffer, he loses it. With a surge of desperation, he lunges at the blonde leader. But they're outnumbered 3-1, and the thug on the left is swinging a baseball bat. He brings the bat down toward the old man's head with every ounce of his strength, aiming to kill. "Die, you old fossil! Get your hands off me!" he screams, completely devoid of any human decency. Just as the bat is about to shatter the old man's skull, a hand flashes out of nowhere. Jiang Xiaoyong caught it. He grips the student's hands like a vice, looking absolutely legendary in this moment of crisis. "You kids should be in school," he growls coldly. "Did you really think playing gangster was a career path?" The other 2 punks just laugh, completely failing to read the room or the danger they are in. "Ha ha ha, where did this broke loser come from?" The blonde leader stares, trying to figure Xiaoyong out. "I never heard this brat had a brother." Since the thug refused to let go of the bat, Xiaoyong delivers a devastating kick. The impact is massive, sending the guy flying backward like a ragdoll through the air. He skids across the pavement, his back scraping against the asphalt. The other 2 finally start to feel a chill of fear. They grit their teeth, their arrogance replaced by pure, unadulterated dread as they face Xiaoyong's killing intent. "Damn it, boss, this guy actually knows how to fight." The blonde leader is shaking inside, but his mouth still runs. "Attack together!" Xiaoyong barely glances at them. To him, they're just 2 headless chickens waiting for the butcher's blade. One with a knife, one with a bat. They surround him, but neither dares to make the first move against him. Xiaoyong stands his ground, calm and collected. Finally, the buzz-cut thug loses his nerve and charges from behind. He swings wildly, aiming a lethal strike directly at the base of Xiaoyong's neck. But it's useless. With a quick glance at San, Xiaoyong has already read his opponent's every desperate move. He ducks with lightning speed, the bat whistling harmlessly over his head. The thug's all-out attack hits nothing but air. For Jiang Xiaoyong, the world has slowed down to a crawl. Dodging these normal attacks was as easy as breathing. He realizes his power has reached a new level. The physical enhancement worked. My reflexes are insane, he thinks. Before the thug can react, Xiaoyong's hand is at his throat. In one fluid motion, he executes a perfect judo throw with overwhelming power. The thug is launched into the air before being slammed face-first into the concrete with a bone-shattering thud. Xiaoyong stands tall, looking ruthlessly handsome. The thug is out cold, his eyes rolling back into his head. That's 2 down. Only the blonde boss remains. The punk trembles, pointing his dagger at Xiaoyong's chest. He's still trying to act tough? Pathetic. With one sharp glare, Xiaoyong vanishes and reappears right in front of him. The leader's eyes bulge in terror. Xiaoyong draws his knee back, coiling like a deadly spring. He delivers a brutal kick to the kid's knee, treating his leg like a soccer ball in a match. The force is so immense it flips the leader backward, his head bouncing off the ground in a final blow. Handling these small fry was child's play. In seconds, all 3 thugs lay broken at Xiaoyong's feet. The dust settled. 1 problem down, but 2 more were waiting for the slaughter. Jiang Xiaoyong remained silent. With cold eyes, he marched toward the 2 arrogant girls. Sensing the shift in the air, the girl with the bun trembled. "What do you want?" Xiaoyong didn't waste words. He delivered a stinging slap that echoed across the yard. Her pretty face contorted in pain. She froze, unable to believe she'd been physically struck. Next, Xiaoyong grabbed the long-haired girl by the same locks she'd used to torment San San. He tightened his grip, his voice dropping to a terrifying growl. "You like pulling hair?" She thrashed like a trapped animal, screaming for mercy. He showed her absolutely none. With a gaze full of murderous intent, Xiaoyong pressed a cold blade against her throat. The sight of the steel broke her, panic set in, and tears began to flow. "A knife? Stop!" With a swift motion, a clean times shank times echoed, followed by a scream. From the ground, San San watched in shock as Xiaoyong dealt with her tormentors. The girl with the bun collapsed, her legs giving out from pure, unadulterated terror. San San covered her eyes, trembling. The long-haired girl sank to the tiles, clutching her head. In a heartbeat, the long hair she cherished was severed, cut away by Xiaoyong's blade. She wailed in utter despair. "My hair! My beautiful hair!" Her face twisted in a hideous rage. "You bastard! You actually dared to cut it? I'll kill you. I'll never forgive you." From above, Xiaoyong's expression remained stone cold. He let the severed strands flutter to the ground. Long hair is just a burden now. She glared up at him, snarling with hatred. "What the hell did you say?" He turned to leave, tossing one last warning. "In 3 days, this will save your life." The girl stayed behind, fuming. Meanwhile, the old man kept close to his granddaughter. San San looked at her savior, her eyes filled with newfound awe and wonder. Xiaoyong softened his voice, speaking like a protective older brother. "San San, let's go." Startled, she blinked. "Go? Go where?" Soon, they were speeding away in his black car. Success. Xiaoyong was finally bringing them to the fortress he'd spent a month building. "Wait, what about school?" San San shouted, her voice full of confusion. Finally, the old man spoke up, repeating the grim truth he'd learned from Xiaoyong. "There's a famine coming. Forget school. Staying alive is the only thing that matters now." San San couldn't believe it. "A famine? Grandpa, what are you talking about?" Her confusion turned to frustration as she looked at her grandfather's serious face. "Grandpa, I told you not to listen to scammers. Are you being tricked again?" She demanded an answer. "How much money did you lose this time?" The old man sighed. "It's not a scam. This is real." But San San wasn't buying it. "You always say that." Watching them bicker in the rearview mirror, Xiaoyong made a silent, sacred vow. "San San, I will protect you in this life. Your grandpa wasn't tricked this time. I'm the one who warned him about the coming catastrophe." Hearing it directly from her savior, San San's eyes widened as she went quiet. Realizing she didn't even know him, she stammered, "Who? Who are you exactly?" He accelerated onto the highway. "My name is Jiang Xiaoyong. Just call me Brother Xiaoyong." She nodded slowly. "Brother Xiaoyong, thank you for getting revenge for me." He looked ahead, his voice chillingly calm. "Don't give those bullies another thought. They won't survive more than a few days anyway." San San gasped. "What? Is there really a famine coming? Are we all in danger?" Xiaoyong's eyes never wavered from the road. Famine was just the simplest way to explain it. San hesitated, her voice trembling with doubt. I told you, in this peaceful era, a famine is simply impossible. Jiang Xiaoyong remained eerily calm. The truth is, the apocalypse is about to descend upon us. San gasped, her eyes widening in sheer disbelief. The end of the world? Seriously? Xiaoyong's gaze turned hauntingly dark. His voice dropped to a low whisper. Time is running out. Check the news. The clues are already hidden in plain sight. Driven by a sudden chill, San grabbed her phone and frantically scrolled through the latest viral news feeds. No, this can't be real. She stared at a report, a chaotic scene of violence erupting under the pale moonlight. Unbelievable! I've never seen a rabies patient actually hunting and biting people like this. On the screen, a man with sickly pale skin and foaming saliva struggled against his restraints. 2 officers held him down, while the world remained blissfully unaware that this wasn't just a simple disease. She swiped again. Another headline appeared. A mysterious, suffocating fog was beginning to swallow the city. Is it just me, or does this strange mist have a revolting, metallic smell? A witness recorded. San's hands shook. She clicked a video where someone screamed, "Are you insane? Why are you biting me? I can't control it. My body feels like it's burning." A victim groaned. "Please, get me to a hospital." San pulled the phone closer, her heart hammering against her ribs as a wave of dread washed over her. Her pupils dilated in terror, but Xiaoyong, having lived through this nightmare before, calmly analyzed the unfolding chaos. The omens were undeniable. The apocalypse had begun. San sat frozen in the back seat, her breath hitching. Is it really happening?" she stammered. Outside, their car continued its grim journey down the highway. Xiaoyong broke the heavy silence, briefing San and Old Han on the horrors awaiting them at dawn. Tomorrow is day 1. A lethal, toxic haze will completely engulf Province B and the surrounding areas. As twilight faded into a bruised purple, Xiaoyong flicked on the headlights, piercing the growing gloom. That mysterious fog. It will rewrite the DNA of every living thing it touches, he explained grimly. Slowly, the masses will transform into mindless, flesh-eating monsters under the cover of that cursed mist. One bite means death, and an eternity as one of them. He slowed down as the road became congested. He turned back with a look of predatory focus. Do you even realize what a zombie truly is? San leaned forward, her voice a fragile whisper. I know. It's just that reality is becoming too hard to swallow. They reached the main boulevard, only to find a sea of tailgating cars trapped in a massive gridlock. By next week, this nightmare will be your new reality, Xiaoyong muttered. Nothing will seem strange then. He leaned out the window, his jaw tight with fury. Damn it! Not a traffic jam at a time like this. Even the emergency lanes were choked with cars. The air was thick with the frantic, deafening blare of horns. The emergency path is blocked too. Old Han's voice trembled as he looked at the wall of steel. Mr. Jiang, if those monsters you mentioned catch us while we're stuck here, what do we do? Xiaoyong pulled his black SUV tight against the car ahead and laid on the horn. Asterisk. Beep. Beep. Asterisk. Stay calm, Old Han. We aren't in danger. Not yet. He projected confidence, though his own pulse was racing. God damn it, he hissed under his breath, his eyes darting across the stagnant lines of traffic. The total collapse was days away, but a localized outbreak right here in this jam would be a death sentence. The 3 of them sat in tense silence, waiting for the gridlock to break as a shadow loomed over. Suddenly, a luxury Mercedes roared from the shoulder, swerving violently to cut directly in front of Xiaoyong. Xiaoyong slammed the brakes. The car screeched to a halt, throwing everyone forward with bone-jarring force. Rage flared in his eyes. You bastard! No signal? You just dive into a jam from the emergency lane? Teeth gritted, Xiaoyong spun the steering wheel with a sudden, aggressive intent to reclaim his spot. His car surged forward, tailgating the vehicle in front to block the Mercedes. Not on my watch, prick! But the Mercedes driver refused to yield, aggressively edging closer and forcing Xiaoyong to a dead stop. Of all the times to deal with an arrogant idiot, Xiaoyong glared at the luxury car, fuming with rage. You're still pushing? You really want to do this? Neither man was willing to back down an inch. They inched forward, steel nearly grinding against steel, until the Mercedes window finally began to slide down. That clown kept barking insults about my mother, trying to provoke a reaction. His pathetic words were just background noise. I didn't give him a second thought. Old Han leaned forward, his voice trembling with a desperate need for peace. Mr. Jiang, that man looks wealthy and powerful. It's better to just let this go, please. But I had money, a fortress, and 0 patience left for arrogant fools. Don't worry, I said coldly. If he forces my hand, I'll send him to hell. The road finally cleared. I exhaled, thinking we had finally escaped that nightmare. After an hour of gridlock, I checked the rearview mirror one last time. Suddenly, Sansan screamed, "He's back! That same car is chasing us down!" A sleek black luxury sedan roared up, nearly colliding with our rear bumper. Horns blared and lights flashed. "Damn it! He's like a persistent, vengeful ghost!" He swerved violently, cutting us off and nearly sending my truck flipping over. The arrogant prick blocked our path. Inside the car, panic began to rise. Sansan slammed into her seat while old Han begged me to stay calm. "Mr. Jiang, stay composed. Don't do something reckless and ruin your life." My knuckles turned white on the wheel. Everyone has a limit. This was mine. I looked at the old man, my voice dropping to a dangerous low chill. Normally, I'd endure it. But tomorrow is doomsday. Why tolerate trash anymore? I floored the accelerator, slamming my heavy truck straight into his expensive ride. Metal screamed as his luxury car was tossed aside like a discarded toy. His tires left black streaks as the wreckage settled. The man stumbled out, bleeding. "You bastard," he screamed. He was clearly some high-ranking official used to power. He pulled out his phone, shrieking orders to his contacts at the traffic bureau. "Identify that plate. I want that car tracked and stopped immediately." "Do it." But we were already a distant speck. He stood there fuming, staring at nothing. "I'll make him pay," he hissed. "He has no idea who he just crossed." Finally, the trouble behind us. We reached the gates of my completed stronghold. The truck slowed to a crawl as we approached the massive, reinforced entrance. Old Han stepped out, his eyes wide as he took in the fortress's scale. Sansan scanned the walls, overwhelmed by the sheer size of the facility. "Wow," she whispered, looking up in awe. "This place is absolutely massive." "Get some rest," I told them. "Starting tomorrow, survival will be our only priority." They nodded silently, their faces clouded with anxiety for the world's end. The next morning, I stood by the glass, sipping coffee and watching the silence. Sansan emerged from her room, stretching with a long, lazy yawn. "No school today," she joked. I could definitely get used to this lifestyle. I turned toward her, the morning sun catching my calm, determined gaze. "Ready? Let's tour the fortress. I'll show you how we're going to survive." I led the way into the industrial depths, with the others following closely. We entered a vast chamber, pristine and modern, waiting for the coming chaos. "These gates are pure steel, 3 centimeters thick," I explained, pointing to the controls. "Neither man nor monster can breach this without heavy artillery. We are safe." I looked at Sansan firmly. "Nobody enters this place without my express permission." Sansan shivered at my tone, realization of the situation finally sinking in. "Come on," I said softly, beckoning her to follow me deeper inside. A massive overpass connects Xiaoyong's home to a grand observatory. He leads San and her grandfather toward the stronghold's heart. "Stay alert," he warns. "In this apocalypse, a human heart is far more treacherous than the monsters outside. The sky bridge is as wide as a highway. The scale of his investment is nothing short of legendary." He continues, "Human depravity will only worsen. In this world, kindness is a death sentence we can't afford." Looking down from the heights, San and the old man gasp. The sight below leaves them utterly speechless. A sprawling compound unfolds before them, fortified by layers of lethal, razor-sharp barbed wire fences. Inside sit massive shipping containers and a reinforced barracks. Xiaoyong begins explaining the protocols for his absence. This specific zone is designated as a temporary sanctuary for any desperate survivors seeking refuge. "Until I return, never let them inside the main fortress. Understand?" San nods instantly. "I've got it." He leads them to the heavy steel doors of the granary, hands buried deep in his pockets. "You must know where the supplies are and which scraps we can actually afford to give away." Every detail he shares is a vital lesson in survival. Inside the vault, the two look like ants against the towering food stacks. The capacity is absolutely terrifying. Then, he reveals his trump card. A ghostly blue flame ignites within his right eye, the spirit eye. Through its spectral lens, he reads their souls. He sees glowing green icons of pure, honest happiness. Xiaoyong muses, "Is this absolute trust? I've never seen this emotion manifest like this before." He points his ring toward the floor. It flashes brilliantly, summoning a heavy wooden crate from thin air. "In this wasteland," he declares, "weapons are the only language that people truly respect." Entranced, they choose their steel. San grips a high-tech crossbow, while the old man shoulders a sniper rifle. Their jaws drop in shock. The quality of this gear is beyond their wildest dreams. "Keep your guard up," he commands. "Never let these fall into enemy hands. Total control is life." The old man nods with grim determination. "You have my word. I won't let you down." Suddenly, a holographic window flickers to life. System notification. Meeting with Mung San is complete. New chain quest. Old Partners, Level 1. Objective: locate and rescue your past life comrade, Zhang Qi. His eyes widen at the 20-point reward, but it's the chance to reunite that he truly craves. A luminous green system arrow appears on the glass, pointing the way toward his next destiny. As the others watch him in silence, Xiao Yong's mind begins to race with tactical possibilities. This is perfect. I was already worried about finding my old squad. This hits two birds with one stone. Without hesitation, he bolts toward the exit, shouting a final warning back at a stunned San. Remember everything I told you. Do not violate a single rule while I am gone. He slams into the driver's seat and roars, I'm gonna find a legend and expand our team. He guns the engine, following the arrow out of the fortress. Meanwhile, at a popular city karaoke bar, it's late afternoon and shadows are stretching. Inside, the crowd is oblivious, including his old friend, Zhang Qi. They have no idea the world is ending. To them, the plague is just a distant rumor. After a song, Zhang Qi stumbles out of the room, leaning heavily on a friend in a dress shirt. Where are you two going? A voice calls out. The friend laughs, bracing himself against the doorframe. Nature calls. Don't wait up, we might be a while. The others roar with drunken, mindless laughter. Dazed and blurry-eyed, Zhang Qi mumbles along. Yeah, save some of those snacks for me to take home. Inside the restroom, the sound of their relief is accompanied by crude jokes and drunken, heavy sighs. Damn it, my kidneys are screaming, one yells. Get away from me, man, another shouts back. Finished, they stumble back toward the party. Suddenly, Zhang Qi accidentally bumps into a beautiful woman's date. She shrieks in disgust, her face twisting with elitist hate. Zhang Qi quickly raises his hands to apologize. My bad, I didn't mean it, but the couple looks at him like he's filth on their shoes. The boyfriend seizes the chance to act tough, delivering a brutal punch to Zhang Qi's gut. The man sneers, eyes full of malice. Watch where you're going, you blind piece of trash. A brutal kick sent Trong Chi flying. His back slammed against the wall with a sickening thud, and a scream escaped his lips. His heavy-set friend in the button-up shirt rushed over, panic in his eyes. Are you okay? Hang in there. Dazed from the alcohol and the sudden assault, Trong Chi couldn't even speak. He could only wince, trying to regain his senses. Enraged by the blatant bullying, his friend turned to the attacker and shouted, What do you think you're doing? Why attack him? The aggressor stood there with a cold sneer, hands shoved arrogantly into his pockets, looking down at Trong Chi on the floor. Ignoring the question, the thug turned his gaze toward the heavy-set friend. He cracked his knuckles menacingly, his teeth bared in a threat. First time a brat's talked back to me, he growled. This guy was tall, powerful, and clearly took pleasure in being the predator. He grabbed the friend's collar and hoisted him up like he weighed nothing. The heavy-set man flailed his legs, desperate to break free. Wait, what are you doing? He stammered. Meanwhile, the thug's girlfriend leaned against the wall, a satisfied smirk crossing her face. Not wanting things to escalate further, Trong Chi limped to his feet and began to plead with the aggressive man. Please, big brother, it's our fault. Please don't hit him. The tension in the hallway was reaching a boiling point. Nearby, a man let out a long, loud sniffle. It was a waiter, clearly suffering from a nasty cold while on shift. Taking a quick break, he found himself caught up in the drama unfolding between the four strangers. He watched them with a sigh. Damn it, a stomachache and a cold, he thought. And now a fight? Can't I get a single moment of peace today? The waiter rushed over to intervene before things got worse. Sir, please, let's stay calm. No need for violence here. But the thug had completely lost his mind. He let go of the friend only to grab the waiter by the collar instead. He glared into the waiter's eyes and roared, You piece of trash! Do you know who I am? Even your boss wouldn't dare touch me. Ever the professional, the waiter didn't panic. While held captive, he secretly signaled Trong Chi and his friend to run away immediately. He moved his lips silently, forming a desperate command that only the two friends could see. Go! Get out of here! The thug's rage shifted entirely onto the waiter as he screamed with the ego of a king. Get your manager out here right now. My pride has been insulted, and someone is going to pay for it. Sensing their chance, Trong Chi and his heavy-set friend bolted, disappearing into the shadows of the hallway before anyone noticed. The poor waiter was left behind, gasping for air as the thug choked him. Please, sir, calm down, he begged through the pain. Calm down, the thug spat. Meanwhile, the two friends scrambled back to room 3090, nearly tripping over their feet. Inside the room, their other friends were still blissfully unaware, singing their hearts out without a care in the world. Trong Chi collapsed onto the sofa, while his friend leaned on his knees, gasping. Did a pack of dogs chase you? Someone joked. Still catching his breath, the heavy-set friend began to recount the nightmare they had just barely escaped from. Worse than dogs! We ran into some drunk gangster outside the bathroom. He was looking for a fight and came after us. If it wasn't for that waiter distracting him, We would have been carried out of here in body bags, he added. Hearing this, one friend grabbed a microphone and stood up, his face flushed with anger. What the hell? Since when does Team 3 take this? Give me the phone. I'm calling the rest of the guys. We're gonna teach that bastard a lesson he won't forget. The friend in white jumped at the sudden outburst. Trong Chi, ever the diplomat, tried to de-escalate the situation once more. He raised his hands, trying to calm the storm brewing within his own circle of friends. Enough. Let it go, Trong Chi insisted. I graduate in less than a year. Don't start a war. Let's just sing and forget this. But peace was short-lived. A sudden, violent kick shattered the karaoke room door, sending it swinging wide open with a bang. The thug stood there, dragging the battered and bruised waiter by the hair, flanked by a group of menacing, muscular goons. The 4 members of Mechanical Team 3 felt their courage vanish instantly as the nightmare walked right through the door. Their faces turned pale as they watched a man with a heavy baseball bat step forward, followed by 2 towering giants. The thug pointed a trembling, vengeful finger straight at Trong Chi's face. That's them! Don't let them leave this room! The boys were trapped. They couldn't stand, and they couldn't sit. They huddled together, trembling as the predators closed in for the kill. Grab them! The thug hissed. Within seconds, Trong Chi and his friend were forced to the floor, heads covered in fear. In the corner, the badly injured waiter clutched his chest, shivering as he watched the violence unfold with terrified eyes. One friend with a buzz cut tried to maintain a shred of dignity. Let me make one phone call, he shouted, desperate. The thug's voice turned cold and deadly. Did I give you permission to speak, you little maggot? Shut your damn mouth. He snatched a heavy glass whiskey bottle and swung it downward with lethal force, smashing it directly against Trong Chi's head. Zhang Chi froze in horror, shouting, Out, Chen Sung! His friend was paralyzed, blood and wine mixing in a gruesome stream. Outside, Jiang Xiaoyong's black sedan screeched to a halt as he followed the system's guidance to the location. Standing before the karaoke bar, he smiled, excited to reunite with his old college squad. But inside room 3090, Zhang Chi's world was already shattering. As Xiaoyong was welcomed like a king, the room inside became a living hell. Chen Sung let out a choked groan, then collapsed into a widening pool of crimson. Zhang Chi shook his arm desperately, while the thugs just watched with cold, soulless eyes. The boss pulled his girl close, whispering with a smirk, Are you happy now, babe? Is your anger gone yet? The woman in red checked her nails. Whatever, he wasn't even the one who hit me. They treated human life like trash, as she pouted over her ruined manicure. The boyfriend aimed another heavy bottle, straight at Zhang Chi's face. He sneered with pure arrogance. So it was this guy, right? Danger loomed over him, but Zhang Chi gritted his teeth in silent, burning rage. Chen Sung grabbed a heavy ashtray, trying to summon one last ounce of strength. He lunged at the arrogant leader, but the thugs pinned him down before he moved. You little brat, one barked. The leader jumped back, startled by the resistance. His fear turned into a murderous fury, his face twisting into a demonic mask. He bared his teeth. I didn't think you had the guts, kid. The bottle meant for Zhang Chi smashed into Chen Sung's skull with devastating force. The thugs held him steady, forcing the poor guy to take the brutal blow. Chen Sung's eyes went blank, and his limp body was tossed aside like garbage. Seeing his friend broken, Zhang Chi snapped and screamed in pure defiance. He couldn't take the cruelty anymore. He lunged at the monster, cursing him out. You absolute bastard! The heavy-set friend charged right into the fray behind him. They fought desperately, while the last friend huddled in the corner, paralyzed by fear. Shouts and curses filled the air. You want to die? I'll kill you all. The room erupted into a chaotic brawl, a flurry of desperate, landing fists. Nobody noticed the waiter. Purple veins were crawling up his face like a virus. He was drenched in sweat, shivering as if he were freezing in the Arctic. Zhang Chi swung wildly, but the thugs caught him in a bone-crushing grip. The waiter's face turned deathly pale, blood and bile leaking from his glowing eyes. The thugs kept shouting, Kill him! Smash his head against the wall! The waiter turned, his eyes glowing with a soulless, terrifying red light. He lunged forward, moving like a broken marionette possessed by a demon. With a guttural, inhuman roar, he bit deep into a thug's shoulder. A scream of pure agony followed. What the hell is this? Get it off! The woman in red shrieked as the monster tore a chunk of flesh away. It's a mad dog! Help me! The coward in the corner finally lost his mind. He watched the carnage, his mouth hanging open in a silent, horrific terror. Move! I'll kill them! The thugs were still fighting the wrong enemy. The waiter wouldn't let go, his teeth buried deep in the thug's neck. Another tried to pull him off. He's too strong. What kind of monster is he? The monster released his prey, only to lunge at the next victim's arm. There was no doubt. The virus had claimed him, leaving behind nothing but a hollow, mindless husk. Damn it, the bastard bit me, a lackey screamed. But the monster only grew more ferocious with every second. Teeth tore through flesh as the beast slammed the man down. He's gone insane. His strength is inhuman. Just as the situation turned fatal, a hand gripped the monster's throat. It was the protagonist, Jiang Xiaoyong. He hoisted the heavy creature into the air as if it were nothing more than a light feather. A cold shadow masked his face. The onlookers stood paralyzed, their faces drained of all color in pure terror. Xiaoyong's energy flared, his eyes glowing with lethal intent. Like a machine, he twisted the monster's neck effortlessly. Crash! The television screen shattered into a million pieces as the zombie's head was driven through the glass. Xiaoyong turned with a piercing gaze. "Everyone stand down!" His sheer presence silenced the room instantly. The bitten lackey struggled to his feet, clutching his wounded arm while trembling in fear. He glared at the boy, horrified. How could a mere kid overpower that monster with just one hand? The arrogant leader stepped forward, eyes bulging as he screamed, "Who the hell do you think you are?" Behind him, the long-haired lackey's wound was already turning a sickly, rotting shade of deep purple. He scratched at the infection, unnoticed. Ignoring the leader's barking, Xiaoyong turned his attention toward Zhang Ji. "Zhang Ji, were you bitten?" This was the first time they had ever stood face to face. Wary of this powerful stranger, Zhang Ji kept his guard up, unsure of the man's mysterious intentions. Seated between two thugs, he answered cautiously, "No." "Why?" Xiaoyong realized the mission was still on track. "Follow me," Xiaoyong commanded. "I just need one person to give me a valid excuse." Zhang Ji stood to leave, but the leader's hand clamped down on his shoulder. "Not so fast, kid. We aren't finished here. Where are you going?" Meanwhile, the virus took hold of the long-haired lackey. The infection was spreading with terrifying speed, consuming his body from the inside out. Pain exploded in his skull. "Boss, cough. It hurts. My head feels like it is splitting open." "What's wrong? Is your fever getting worse?" the leader asked. But Xiaoyong's eyes were fixed on the victim. With a veteran's intuition, he recognized the signs. That wound was a dark abyss on the man's shoulder. The flesh was turning pitch black, necrosis was setting in, and the transformation was only moments away. "It only started with a runny nose this afternoon." The lackey wheezed, clutching the dark bite mark. Xiaoyong kept his grip tight on the zombie, pinning its twitching body against the broken television screen. "Did that thing bite your shoulder?" he asked coldly. The purple rot had already reached the man's neck. Oblivious to his grim fate, the lackey scratched the wound and mumbled, "Yeah. So what about it?" Xiaoyong went silent. He'd been infected for a while. A bite near the head meant the end was near. Without another word, he hauled the zombie's body toward the exit like a hunter with his prey. "What are you doing?" the leader shouted, but Xiaoyong didn't even bother to look back at him. He kicked the door open and hurled the creature down the stairwell like a bag of useless trash. Boom! The impact echoed through the hall. He slammed the door shut with a thunderous final bang. Scratching and thudding erupted from the other side. Xiaoyong let go. The monsters were trapped outside. He noted with grim satisfaction that these creatures hadn't developed any level of intelligence yet. Turning back to the thugs, Xiaoyong clapped his hands together, demanding their absolute, undivided attention. His aura blazed like an inferno, eyes crackling with electricity. "Zhang Ji, tell me something. Which one of these bastards do you want me to break first?" Zhang Ji stared, completely stunned. The leader, still trying to play the tough guy, grimaced and prepared to strike the wrong person. He lunged at Xiaoyong with a desperate roar. "You arrogant brat, I will kill you!" To Xiaoyong, this man was nothing more than an annoying insect waiting to be swatted away. With his arms crossed in disdain, he suddenly reached out and palmed the leader's face mid-charge. With overwhelming force, he slammed the man's head into the table, splintering the wood into fragments. Seeing his boss crushed, the long-haired lackey snarled and charged. "You little bastard! You are dead!" Speed and precision were my only allies. With one clean strike, I shattered his face, sending him reeling back in a bloody mess. 2 targets down, I stood my ground, my fists pulsing with a lethal, radiant energy as I surveyed the fallen. Suddenly, the lackey began to convulse. Purple foam bubbled from his lips as the infection surged through his veins like a poison. "Hey! What's happening to you?" his comrade screamed, paralyzed with terror as he watched his friend's gruesome transformation. Could a single punch do this? I stood like a god of war, my overwhelming pressure crushing the very air in the room. My voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Is there anyone else? Who else wants to challenge me? If you want a taste of these fists, then step up. Come at me all at once." I calmly massaged my wrist and looked at Zhang Qi. "Take your friend and wait for me outside. Now." Zhang Qi didn't hesitate. He and the others scrambled out, hauling their injured friend away from the growing nightmare. Inside, the arrogant leader tried to retreat, his men dragging their bitten, convulsing comrade toward the exit. The wound was already rotting. "Move it! We're leaving!" the leader barked, his face pale with a sudden bone-chilling dread. but I blocked their path. I stood there like an immovable mountain, my expression twisted into something truly demonic. "What the hell do you want now?" he hissed, while his girlfriend trembled in pure terror behind him. I narrowed my eyes, recalling their cowardice. I spoke with a chilling, death-like calm that froze them in place. "A little alcohol made you forget your place? You nearly cost my brother his life. Now, you pay the price." His bravado crumbled into sheer panic. "What are you talking about? Get out of my way right now!" Before he could speak another word, I unleashed a wave of energy, slamming my palm directly into his chest. He hit the floor hard. Before they could react, I slammed the heavy door shut, sealing them inside that cage. Rage took over as the coward pounded on the door, screaming curses that echoed through the dark hallway. "You bastard! Open this door! I'll skin you alive for this!" But behind him, the long-haired lackey was changing. His eyes turned crimson, and thick veins pulsed across his distorted face. The light of humanity vanished. What stood there was no longer a man, but a predator hungry for flesh. A guttural, animalistic roar tore from his throat as black saliva dripped onto the floor in thick strings. His eyes bulged, nearly bursting from their sockets. Like a puppet with its strings cut, he lost all self-control. He threw aside his comrades and lunged at his boss with terrifying speed, a feral scream echoing through the room. Terror erupted inside. "Damn it, what are you doing? Stop it, get off me!" Outside, I gripped the handle tight. I ignored the screams of agony and the desperate banging against the steel. "Let us out! This guy's a monster! Help! Someone help us!" I remained a statue of ice, listening intently to every bone-chilling sound. My heart was unmoved by their fate. My past life taught me a hard lesson. Mercy is a luxury the cruel and the wicked don't deserve. A confused employee approached the chaos. "Sir? What's going on? Do you need any assistance here?" My reply was sharp and commanding. "There's a monster in there, an infected. Lock this door. Call the police and tell them there's a violent rabies outbreak. Do not let anyone open it." The employee's face drained of color as the weight of my words finally hit him. He stammered, his mind racing in circles. The mad flu? Is that nightmare actually happening here?" I turned to him, my gaze turning lethal. "Do it! Now!" I roared, snapping him out of his trance. Shaking, he obeyed. He locked the door tight, sealing the screams of the dying behind a wall of cold steel. It was finished. Justice had been served in the most brutal way the world could provide. I gestured to my crew. "Let's go." Jiangqi and the others followed, their trust in me now absolute. Only the man in white lingered, his eyes wide with a mix of awe and lingering terror as he followed. As the employee finished locking the door, the sounds of slaughter from inside became unbearable to hear. This is insane," he whispered. Another worker ran up, panicked. "What's the matter? Why the lockdown?" He pointed a trembling finger at the door. "That man said it's the mad flu. Someone has turned inside." "The mad flu? You've got to be joking. That's just a rumor from the news, right?" They stood in silence, doubt warring with the horrific reality of the screams echoing from behind the door. The clerk gripped the keys, trembling. "You know this?" No time for talk, we bolted. I led the way, shouting back, "I've heard rumors. Get to the security monitors, now." We reached the surveillance room, panting. The guards froze in horror, eyes glued to screen 3090. Nausea hit us instantly. Faces turned pale, soaked in cold sweat from the gruesome sight. Silence choked the air. On screen, a crazed man was literally tearing a woman's face off. She lay there, eyes rolled back in agony. Her boyfriend lunged next, his blood-soaked maw gaping wide. It was a feeding frenzy. They ripped through flesh and organs, devouring the weak like demons. "Call the police!" the clerk screamed. Outside, I stood by the getaway car, waving them over. "Move it! We can't stay here!" Jiangqi's group finally burst through the main entrance. Once everyone was packed inside, I floored the accelerator, tearing down the main highway. Jiangqi sat up front, his face a mask of anxiety. "Boss, thanks for saving us." I didn't want to explain the system, so I fabricated a cover story as I drove. "I'm Jiang Xiaoyong. I was hired to protect you. Don't bother asking by who." The timidest one of the bunch still looked shell-shocked by the carnage they'd just witnessed. He stuttered, asking about the madness flu. "Is it real? The internet said it was fake." I shot him a sharp look. Was what happened back in that room just an illusion? The heavy-set guy in glasses leaned forward, his voice trembling with sheer desperation. Is there a cure for this?" I went silent for a moment, gripping the wheel. Looking in the mirror, I replied coldly, "This disaster isn't passing. It's only getting worse. The world is ending." Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the silence of the city streets. Every head in the car snapped toward the window, hearts racing at the sound. A pale, corpse-like infectee lunged from the shadows, pinning an innocent girl to the pavement. She was trapped, pinned under the weight of a monster she couldn't possibly understand. "Help! Someone help me! She shrieked. This was it. The madness flu was spreading. Despair and terror flooded the streets. I turned back to the road, my expression hardening. This is just a local outbreak. Most people are still in the incubation period, I warned. Soon, the entire city will fall. It'll be completely out of anyone's control. If you want to live, you follow my lead. They nodded in unison. Yes, boss. The system chimed. Mission complete. Reward. 20 system points added to your balance. Current points, 20. That was fast, I thought. A small smirk crossing my face. I checked the shop. Perfect timing. Looks like some new items just dropped. 3 chests appeared. Survivalist crate, ration supply, and combat armory. All level 1. I frowned at the screen. Why is that survivalist crate still there? I wondered. I have to buy it to refresh the shop, I sighed, spending points to clear it. I kept scrolling through the system interface while weaving through the increasing traffic. These crates were useful and cheap. I focused on planning my next power-up. Once we reach the fortress, I'll exchange everything. I glanced at the group behind me. My eyes narrowed as I watched Zhang Qi and his friends. I had to stay alert. There was still one massive, lingering problem I couldn't ignore about this group. I remembered Zhang Qi's future weeping because a brother had betrayed and destroyed the entire team. My mind raced as I analyzed the situation. Who was the hidden snake among them? In the original timeline, a betrayal led to a massacre. Only Zhang Qi barely survived that hell. I looked at the 3 friends in the back seat. One of them was a murderer. A traitor was hiding in plain sight, but his mask hadn't slipped yet. Who is it? Meanwhile, in a high-rise apartment, Kui Jing was tensely whispering to a man named Li Shuxiong. Honey? Is that you? Standing by the window, her face was deathly pale. Gazing at the city, she whispered, When will those supplies finally arrive? The world is chaos. I'm terrified to be alone, a gentle voice answered. Soon, babe. Just wait. Suddenly, a violent thud shook her door. Was it the monsters? Panic surged as she let out a scream. Babe, what's wrong? Lai shouted. She clutched her heart, gasping for air. Someone's at the door. I have to hang up now. Peering through the hole, relief flooded her. It was just her best friend. You nearly killed me, she hissed, letting the girl slip inside. Listen, her friend whispered. Old Lu from downstairs was just dragged away. The door slammed shut. Choi Tin froze, her heart hammering in shock. Taken? Why? Her friend shuddered. The police and paramedics took him. Choi Tin went silent, her mind racing with a growing dread. So, the noise was real. That mad flu isn't just a rumor. Forget that. Did your man bring the food he promised yet? Not yet, she muttered gloomily. Her friend's face twisted in rage. Useless! I told you, all men are just pathetic trash. A sinister idea sparked. She leaned in with a wicked grin. Call him. Tell him Tu Dung is hoarded with supplies. Use him. Choi Tin blinked, confused. Are you sure? How could you know? That brat kicked me out. I haven't forgotten that insult. So I had a little pet watch his every move. Trucks of supplies are pouring into his factory day and night. Choi Tin gritted her teeth. Did he know this virus was coming? She was a viper, hidden behind a mask of false friendship. Seduction failed. So now she would settle for cold-blooded robbery. Her gaze turned sharp and urgent. Do it! Call him now! We'll take 2 shares and vanish. Call him as soon as possible. Finally, Tu Dung's crew reached the base. The newcomers stared in awe. Whoa, is this a fortress? It's absolutely massive. Tu Dung smirked. Every person's first reaction was always the same. Old Han and San rushed out. You're back! Are you safe? I'm fine, Tu Dung laughed. Meet the newest members of our team. He gestured to the squad. This is Truong Chi and his classmates. From this moment on, we fight together as one family. Truong Chi waved as Tu Dung introduced the veterans of the base. If Tu Dung trusts you, so do we. Welcome, San smiled. Old Han, show them the ropes. And make sure they know our rules. Old Han gripped his rifle and gave a firm, loyal nod. The chubby guy looked around nervously. This feels like a prison. A timid boy slowly raised his hand, pointing at the heavy weapons. Can we have guns too? We want to help protect this place. Tu Dung's gaze turned icy. The glasses-wearing boy hissed a warning. Shut up, Nat Min. We haven't even earned their trust yet. Tu Dung's voice was firm. Patience, you'll get your weapons soon enough. He swiftly pivoted the conversation, eyeing the youth leaning heavily on the 4-eyed boy. His wounds look deep. We need to get him to the infirmary for an evaluation immediately. Moments later, inside the sanctuary of the bathroom, the group finally washed away a day of hell. The big guy sighed as he dried his hair, but Yi Ming's resentment was still boiling over. Why the hell did you stop me back there, you idiot? Yi Ming barked with fury. If you hadn't interfered, we'd have seized those weapons for ourselves by now. He pointed aggressively at the floor, his voice rising in the cramped, humid space. Call it protection, but we're basically prisoners here. Why act tough now and not at the karaoke bar? Lao Si, caught off guard by the venom in his voice, tried to calm the storm. How can you even say that? The man literally just saved our lives from certain death. Yi Ming sneered, questioning the savior's true identity and his hidden motives for helping them. Zhang Ji turned back with a shrug. Didn't he say someone hired him to keep us safe? Hired? By who? Only a fool would believe a fairy tale like that in this world. Yi Ming gnashed his teeth, his earlier cowardice replaced by a sinister, predatory edge. Look at that clinic. The windows are barred tighter than a high-security prison cell, haunted by dark, twisted images of what was happening to their injured friend, Chen. He's probably dissecting him. We need to strike first or be slaughtered. I'm taking charge. Lao Si stood his ground. His belief in honor and debt remains unshaken by the madness. If we're wrong, we're betraying our savior. I won't be a part of such evil. Yi Ming's eyes turned cold. I'd rather betray the whole world than let it betray me. A wicked, jagged grin spread across his face as he leaned in close to whisper. It's just him, an old man, and a girl. We seize the base and the girl tonight. He chuckled darkly, already lost in a depraved fantasy of power and absolute control. A heavy, suffocating silence fell over the room as the others stood frozen in shock. Sensing he'd gone too far, Yi Ming quickly waved it off with a fake, hollow laugh. Relax, I was just joking. Don't look at me like I'm some kind of monster. Zhang Ji exhaled, wiping cold sweat from his brow. Don't scare us like that, man. Lao Si nodded slowly. If he wanted us dead, we'd already be in coffins by now. Besides, the man has a gun. We have nothing but our bare hands. The shower stopped. Yi Ming watched them leave, his eyes glowing with pure, unadulterated malice. Useless brats. In this new world, only the ruthless survive. You'll be my slave soon. Meanwhile, inside the quiet, tense sanctuary of Xiaoyong's private living quarters, Xiaoyong sat motionless on the sofa as Han and San approached him with reports. The guests have been settled in, Old Han reported with a weary, heavy sigh. The boy, Chen, is currently secured in the infirmary for close observation. Every window is bolted shut, exactly as you requested. Xiaoyong nodded in quiet approval. Thank you for the hard work, he replied, his voice echoing with hidden weight. He looked at them with a somber smile. Get some rest. Tomorrow, trouble comes knocking. Suddenly, he raised a finger as a sharp, dangerous realization struck his mind. Old Han stopped in his tracks, sensing a sudden, chilling shift in the air. Watch the students, especially the two with Zhang Ji. They are not what they seem. A viper is nesting among us. I can smell the betrayal brewing in the shadows. Under the shroud of night, Xiaoyong slipped into the cold, dark supply warehouse alone. With a flick of his wrist, the blue holographic system interface shimmered into existence. He touched the first reward chest, and a blinding, divine light consumed the entire room. The post-apocalyptic farmer's kit is secured. 2 points deducted, 18 points remaining in the bank. Essential rations exchange successful. 5 points burned for sugar, oil, and protein. Current balance, 13 points. Weeman armament crate acquired. Another 5 points gone, leaving me with a mere 8 points. Back in the system shop, 3 new shimmering chests materialize. The contents seem familiar at first glance, but the loot has leveled up. 50 corn seeds, 200 kilos of sausage, and a mountain of salted pork and vegetables. Plus, 1,500 rounds of 9mm ammunition, a true windfall for the coming war. With the selection finalized, Xiaoyong claims his hard-earned spoils from the system's bounty. The supplies pile up like a golden mountain. Xiaoyong smirks, deeply satisfied with this legendary haul. Cash is worthless now. In the approaching apocalypse, these resources are the only true currency for survival. This isn't just a reward, it is a god-tier jackpot that changes everything. Morning breaks with deceptive beauty, yet 3 cars tear across the asphalt at a reckless, frantic speed. From the fortress heights, their velocity looks unnatural, a clear omen of approaching trouble. The engines screech to a halt. A cold, menacing voice rings out. Finally, I found the place. The target is confirmed. There is no mistaking this address. Thugs spill out of the vehicles, brandishing massive blades and spitting venomous curses that shatter the morning silence. Their suited leader hangs up his phone with a chilling smirk. Let's finish this and grab dinner. It's that arrogant, rich brat from the highway. He points a trembling finger, roaring. Tear it all down! His goons surge forward with murderous intent, raining heavy, relentless blows against the massive iron gate. Under the boss's watchful eye, they kick and bash, but the reinforced steel doesn't even dent. Frustrated and shaken, the lead thug retreats to report the bad news to his employer. Boss, this door is 10 centimeters thick. We can't break through. The leader's face contorts with pure rage. Who builds a door like a damn vault? He snarls. Forget the gate, bring out the special delivery. The trunk flies open, revealing a hidden crate of supplies prepared for a scorched earth assault. Inside are dozens of unlabeled glass bottles, looking deceptively like high-end liquor to the untrained eye. But those red caps hide a lethal secret: homemade firebombs designed to bypass the law's detection. The bastards ignite the fuses and hurl the fire into the base. 1, 2. A rain of glass falls. Violent explosions of gasoline. The base instantly erupts into a terrifying, uncontrollable inferno. Xiaoyong's sanctuary is suddenly drowning in a sea of flames and choking, toxic black smoke. The fire from the Molotovs catches onto the gate, burning with a relentless and savage intensity. San and the crew scramble from the house in a panic, racing toward the flames with water buckets. Armed with extinguishers, they realize Xiaoyong's grim warnings were hauntingly accurate. "The fire is spreading!" San screams. Dousing the flames with desperate force, she cries out, "Xiaoyong was right about everything!" The world hasn't even ended yet, but human malice is already burning brighter than the sun. Looking lethal, Xiaoyong appears on the lookout tower alongside Old Han, his rifle cocked and ready. "Let's see which piece of trash is looking for an early grave," Xiaoyong growls, eyes cold. They stare down from their heights at the mob and the vehicles gathered like vultures below. Old Han narrows his eyes, recognizing the faces and the cars from their previous highway confrontation. "It's him!" he exclaims. "That loudmouth who picked a fight with us during the traffic jam." Below, a thug spots them on the balcony and alerts his boss immediately. "Sir, they've finally shown themselves." The leader's eyes burn with vengeance. He clenches his fist, hissing, "There he is, that miserable bastard." Without missing a single heartbeat, the rich brat screams at the top of his lungs, "Come down here, coward, or I'll roast you alive." Xiaoyong looks down with icy indifference. "I'll give you 5 minutes to vanish," he warns. "Take your curs and crawl away." His words ignite a powder keg of fury among the thugs. "You arrogant old fossil. Do you even realize the power our boss wields?" They mock. Chaos reigned, but then the system's cold chime broke through the noise. New mission incoming. I glanced at the hovering interface. A new prompt appeared, flashing a warning about a looming threat. The objective: eliminate the invaders immediately. Reward: 10 points. Beside me, the old man trembled. "Xiaoyong, what now?" "Do we fire a warning shot?" he asked. I remained silent, gripping my rifle with cold, lethal intent. I racked the slide with a sharp metallic click, aiming directly at the thugs. "A warning?" I muttered. "These bastards look like common thugs. Order hasn't even collapsed yet, and they're already playing with fire. They clearly didn't care if people burned alive. To them, human life was just a cheap commodity." I squinted through the sights, adjusting my stance. One slight squeeze of the trigger was all it would take. Letting scum like this survive the apocalypse only puts innocent lives at risk and threatens our own safety. The old man gasped, terrified by the sheer ruthlessness radiating from my gaze. He didn't recognize me. I pulled the trigger without hesitation. The bullet whistled through the air, instantly severing the leader's arm. The man didn't even realize what happened until the thunderous boom echoed through the empty street. He collapsed into the dirt, clutching his bloody stump and howling in pure, agonizing pain. "My arm! Arg!" His subordinates panicked, ducking for cover and shielding their heads as the realization of my firepower set in. I remained expressionless as smoke curled from the barrel. Honestly, I felt a slight twinge of disappointment. Damn, I actually missed. I've lived in peace for too long. My elite marksmanship has turned to rust. Below us, the thugs began cursing in terror. "Damn it, he's got a rifle! A real military-grade rifle!" Fear finally took hold. They scrambled toward their vehicle, their wounded leader shouting orders through his screams. "Retreat! Cover me, you idiots! You'll pay for this! Just you wait! You're dead meat!" A lackey ran for his life, shouting for his boss. I simply adjusted my aim, locking onto my targets. "Let's finish today's business today." "I hate waiting," I whispered as lead began to rain down again. Bullets tore through flesh and bone limbs, chests, and even skulls. These arrogant fools learned the cost of defiance. Only a few managed to scramble into the backseat of their car, desperate to escape the carnage. "Drive! Get us out of here!" the leader shrieked. Seeing the threat neutralized, the old man leaned back. He peered over the railing, watching the car struggle to start. "Look, they're trying to make a break for it." I didn't panic. Calmly reloading, I replied, "Don't worry, this is exactly why I brought the automatic rifle." I unleashed a hail of lead upon the retreating vehicle, shredding the metal as they tried to flee. My focus intensified with every shot. I swapped magazines with the fluid, practiced ease of a professional soldier. The old man watched me, a sense of dread and awe washing over him. He couldn't believe his eyes. That reloading speed. It's just like my days in the service. Who is this kid, and what is his past? Thick smoke drifted over my base as the echoes of gunfire faded. Finally, the chaos was silenced. A heavy silence followed, broken only by the wind. The road was now a graveyard of broken bodies. The mangled wreckage of their car sat smoldering, its windows shattered into 1,000 jagged glass shards. Mission accomplished, I turned to the old man. Go get Zhang-Chi, his friends, and San. We're heading out. My sudden intensity seemed to catch him off guard. He stood there, blinking in confusion for a moment. I paused, my eyes narrowing as a new thought occurred to me. Wait, let's rethink this strategy. We're still in the early stages of the disaster. Better to let them turn into zombies for training material. I looked at the corpses littering the entrance of my base. They were nothing but future experience points now. Forget it, I told the old man. He looked puzzled. What about the bodies on the road? I answered in a low, cold tone. Leave them there. I have a much better use for them. Meanwhile, on the highway leading toward my base, 2 white cars were speeding through the desolate landscape. Inside, Li Shuhong scowled, his impatience growing by the second. How much longer until we arrive? Kui Jing's friend forced a cute, playful smile, trying to soothe him. It's just past the next intersection. Kui Jing sat silently, staring out the window with her arms crossed. She was deep in her own thoughts. She glanced at her friend's fake expression. Asterisk. Humph. Putting on an act for him? I see right through you. Asterisk. The car screeches to a halt outside the compound, and Lai Thu Hung turns to Toi Tin with a sickeningly sweet gaze. I will park right here and wait, babe. Just send me a text once you are inside. Toi Tin gives a sharp nod. She turns to her so-called best friend in the back seat. Tunya, move it. We are going. Tunya looks dazed. Wait, me too? Toi Tin's expression turns cold as she demands compliance. Do not be ridiculous. You are coming with me. If you do not lead the way, how will I find the factory? Tunya forces a fake smile and whines. Oh, come on. It is right ahead. Besides, these heels are killing me. I have been walking in these for blocks. Toi Tin sees right through her. Tunya just wants to be alone with Li Thu Hung. She grabs the girl's arm and drags her out. Stop making excuses. No one forced you to wear those heels. Now shut up and follow me. Tunya tries to resist, desperately searching for a way back. Wait, my phone is still in the car. Toi Tin does not budge. Leave it. My phone is enough. Let's go. Finally, Tunya is forced to follow. The 2 girls walk slowly toward the entrance. Behind the wheel, Li Thu Hung's eyes turn cold as he picks up his phone. Hello? Everyone, get ready. The moment my car starts, you all charge in. Lurking right behind them is a caravan, filled with men waiting for his signal to strike. Inside are 10 hardened thugs armed with blades. The man in front grunts into his radio. Orders received. Toi Tin leads the way while Tunya grumbles behind her. Seriously, Tin Tin? Why do I have to bribe you here? Toi Tin snaps back, her eyes narrowing. Please. We are both foxes in the same woods. You think you can fool me? Tunya scurries forward to stay close to Toi Tin's side. She puts on an innocent act. You are so mean! I dressed up to help lure Kwang Tu Dung out. He already knows about you and Lee anyway. Toi Tin stops suddenly, staring at the path ahead. Wait, what is going on up there? Tunya's jaw drops. As they get closer, the gruesome remnants of a battlefield come into view. Tunya gasps in horror. Damn it! What happened here? Was there a shootout? They step past the cold bodies. Tin Tin, to get to the base, we have to walk through these corpses. The 2 girls cling to each other, trembling with every step. Tin Tin. These people. They are all dead. Toi Tin shudders as she looks at the fresh blood. These men died only moments ago. Are other groups fighting over Kwang To Dung's supplies? From within a wrecked car, terrified eyes watch them pass. Tunya's mind begins to spiral. Do you think Kwang To Dung is even still alive? Toi Tin's greed outweighs her fear. I do not care if that loser dies. I only care if the supplies are still there. Tunya whimpers. Maybe we should go back. Let Li Thu Hung's men check it out first. Shh. Keep your voice down, Toi Tin hisses. Let's see if the warehouse door is locked. Even now, she is plotting. But in their desperation to scheme, they have no idea what is rising behind them. The fallen leader's body begins to twitch. The infection has taken hold, and he is now a mindless monster. He hears their voices and snaps his eyes open, bloodshot and bulging with dark necrotic veins. A guttural growl escapes his throat. Meanwhile, the girls reach the massive gates of the base. Toi Tin follows closely as Tunya reaches out to touch the cold iron. She pounds on the gate and curses. Damn it, it is locked tight. We cannot see a thing inside. The silence is unnerving. Toi Tin whispers. Could something have happened to Kwang To Dung too? Suddenly, a booming voice echoes from above. The 2 girls freeze and look up in total shock. It is San San. She stands on the wall, her rifle leveled directly at the intruders below. Who are you? How did you find this place? Tunya shouts back. Wait, we are friends of Tu Dung. Toi Tin steps forward, playing her part. I am his girlfriend. San San narrows her eyes, unconvinced. She turns back toward the compound and yells, "Brother Tudong, 2 girls are here. One says she is your girlfriend." Hearing his name makes Thoi Tin's blood boil. She grinds her teeth in pure spite. That bastard. No wonder his attitude changed. He found himself a new little toy. Tunya whispers urgently, "Tintin, keep it together. The mission is more important than your ego. And that woman has a weapon. Can Lai Thu Hung really handle her? Betrayal is her game, yet seeing another woman near Young ignites a venomous jealousy." Jing's face contorts with rage. She hisses, "Don't worry, he's as good as dead." Armed with pistols, once that door opens, Young won't stand a chance. Young steps out, his expression instantly shifting to pure, unadulterated disgust. He sneers down at the 2 scavengers. "What are you bottom feeders doing here?" His spirit eye activates, piercing through their masks to reveal their parasitic greed. Fury boils within them, but only Jing is foolish enough to let it show. She crosses her arms in stony silence, her defiance radiating like a physical wall. Terrified by his aura, Ya plays the fool, acting like a concerned friend. "It's chaos out here. We were just worried about you, brother." Young scoffs at the blatant hypocrisy. "Worried about me? That's a laugh. I bet that scumbag Lee is lurking nearby right now, isn't he? How many goons did he bring?" Their jaws drop. How could he possibly know? Before they can utter another lie, Young makes his move. Gunfire erupts from above, forcing the 2 traitors to scramble for their lives. "You're insane!" they shriek. He responds only with a gaze cold as the grave. He levels his weapon. Jing erupts in a desperate, foul-mouthed tirade. Ye cowers, frantically trying to shut her friend's mouth. "Shut up! He has a gun! Don't provoke him!" But Jing sneers. He wouldn't dare pull the trigger. Young lets out a dark, chilling laugh. Death? That would be far too merciful. Suddenly, a guttural, bone-chilling sound echoes through the desolate air. The 2 women freeze, turning slowly as primal dread sinks into their bones. Terror strikes. What is that? A mad flu monster? The corpses from earlier twitch, rising with crimson eyes and deathly pale skin. Ya trembles. The infection. It's bringing the dead back to life. Resentment flares as the fallen rise as mindless, bloodthirsty predators. Young's eyes glow with demonic light, die in their rotting jaws. The creatures howl, a sound of pure, unadulterated hunger for human flesh. Scenting blood, the monsters lunge toward the terrified, screaming women. They dive away just in time as the beasts collide in a frantic heap. Narrowly escaping, they shriek for help. "Lee, save us!" From his distant car, Lee watches the chaos with a cold, indifferent scowl. They run like hunted prey, the monsters closing in like starving wolves. Jing stumbles, screaming for her friend to wait for her. But Ya doesn't look back. In this world, it's every traitor for herself. Reaching the car, Lee sees the horde and his blood runs cold. He lunges inside, grabbing the radio with trembling, desperate hands. "Retreat! Turn back now! The mad flu is everywhere!" He abandons them without a thought. They were only temporary tools to him. Seeing the car peel away, Jing screams a final, bitter curse. The engine roars as the car vanishes, leaving her to the encroaching shadows. Tears of pure terror fall. "I don't want to die like this." In a fit of petty rage, she hurls her bag at the fleeing Ya. "You backstabbing wench!" The strap snags Ya's ankle mid-stride. Ya slams into the dirt, letting out a sharp, agonizing cry of pain. The zombies lunged with blinding speed, their shrieks piercing the air as they reached for Xiao Ya. Terror paralyzed her as the nightmare turned real. Drenched in sweat, she could only gasp a desperate wait. Their rotting maws gaped wide, eyes rolled back in milky white as they tore into her living flesh. Her life ended in sheer agony. Crimson sprayed everywhere as she was ripped apart, utterly helpless and broken. Her eyes bulged, turning a haunting blood red as the final tears of despair welled up. Witnessing that pure hatred, Thoi Tin screamed with a twisted laugh, "Die, you bitch!" and kept running. Behind her, Xiao Ya became a gruesome feast. With her last breath, she cursed, "You'll die a miserable death." "Ah!" Thoi Tin mutters with a disturbed smirk, her face a mask of both horror and madness. She deserved it. That traitor got exactly what was coming to her. Kung Tiodung watched coldly, unsatisfied. Beside him, San trembled violently, covering her mouth in pure horror. Suddenly, a translucent system notification flashed before his eyes, breaking the silence. Threat neutralized. Mission complete. 10 points earned, totaling 18. A new prompt immediately appeared for Tiodung. An alert pinged. New mission issued. Objective: street clearance. It was time to purge the city. Task: eliminate all infected and monsters outside the base. Reward: 10 evolution points. San whispered through her shaking hands. "Do people really just turn into those monsters like that?" Kung Tiodung turned, his voice grim. The apocalypse had officially begun, and there was no turning back. The air is thick with otherworldly infection. Once someone dies, the mutation claims them almost instantly. Even the living, if weak or injured, face a high risk of turning. San's eyes widened in realization. Dung headed inside with a cold command. San, gather everyone. We're having an emergency meeting now. San froze in shock before hurrying to follow. Soon, everyone was gathered, huddled around a single table. After San locked the door, Kung Tio Dung surveyed the room with deadly serious intensity. Over the next 48 hours, stay inside, seal every window. Your bodies must adapt to this infection to survive the coming mutation. Understanding the source of the plague, Trong Chi's face paled with worry for his close friend. What about Chen Sung? In the dark infirmary, silence reigned like a shroud over the small room. Upon Chen Sung's hand, something sinister began to stir in the shadows. Purple veins snaked up his arm, the mark of the undead. Pain etched every line of his face. He groaned in his sleep, drenched in cold sweat as the infection coursed through his very blood. A monster was waking inside the base. Meanwhile, at the building where Trong Thang lived, pure chaos erupted. Black smoke billowed from the windows as society began to crumble into ash. The undead had claimed the halls. Panic-stricken men scrambled over walls, fleeing for their lives. High above in his apartment, Trong Thang watched the world burn with a look of pure dread. It's madness out there, he muttered, turning to his terrified wife and son clinging to each other. I have to hit the warehouse tonight to secure the last of our supplies. Xiao Li, stay here with Shuai Shuai. Open the door for no one but me, understood? Suddenly, a violent pounding at the door shattered the silence. The family recoiled in absolute terror. The banging grew more desperate. Trong Thang hesitated, his heart hammering against his ribs in fear. He pressed a finger to his lips, signaling his wife and child to be deathly silent. He grabbed a golf club, creeping toward the entrance. Then, a familiar voice called out from the hall. Thang, you in there? Relief washed over him. It was the voice of a man he knew. He threw open the door, sighing in relief. Oh, it's just you, Duong Dao. But in this hellish new world, trust is a fatal mistake. As he went to lock up, a heavy boot slammed into the wood, kicking the door wide open with incredible force. The blow caught him in the gut, sending him sprawling. Thugs swarmed in, pinning him to the floor. Behind the wall of men, Duong Dao stepped inside with a cold, predatory smile. The snake has finally bared its fangs. Yang Dao stands over the fallen Zhang Shengze with cold, murderous eyes. Zhang thrashes against his restraints, his voice a ragged snarl. Unhand me, you traitorous dog! He spits fire at his former subordinate. Is this how you repay my kindness, you ungrateful piece of trash? Yang Dao's face contorts into a mask of pure fury. Kindness? You want to talk about kindness now? A chilling, hollow laugh erupts from his throat. Don't make me laugh. Your kindnesses was a slow-acting poison. To you, I was just a tool. A stray dog! Zhang roars back. Have you lost your damn soul? I gave you a roof over your head. Without me, you'd be nothing but a beggar on the street. That was the breaking point. Yang Dao loses it, his fist trembling with years of suppressed, burning rage. You threw me crumbs while you built an empire on my back. Where is my share, Zhang? Veins bulge in Zhang's neck as he glares. Enough talk. Hand over the warehouse keys and the address. Now. Even pinned to the cold, hard ground, Zhang refuses to break. Silence is his only defiant answer. He grits his teeth in silent agony. But evil always finds a way to twist the knife into the heart. Yang Dao's voice drops to a deadly, honeyed crawl. Fine. Let's see how long your legendary resolve actually lasts. He seizes Zhang's wife by the hair, a brutal display of power. Her scream echoes through the room. Little Shuai Shuai watches in absolute terror, his world shattering. Tears stream down his pale, trembling face. But even a lion cub has claws. The boy lunges forward with a desperate, heartbreaking roar. I'll kill you! He didn't expect the kid to fight back. A sharp pain flares as small teeth sink deep into his arm. You little monster. With one cruel swipe, Yang Dao sends the boy flying across the room. Know your place, runt. The mother's heart stops as she watches her son crash to the floor. Zhang's blood boils with helpless, agonizing fury. Touch them again and I'll kill you. Take me instead, coward. A mountain of a man crushes the boy's spirit. The child's resistance fades into a soft, broken whimper. Yang Dao smirks, playing the ultimate puppet master. Their lives are in your hands, Zhang. Choose wisely. Behind the ruthless exterior, his family was his only sanctuary. Now, that sanctuary was burning to the ground. Eyes burning with pure hate, he's forced to submit. Take us to the loot. No more games. 30 minutes later, they arrive at the hidden stronghold. 4 men descend upon the warehouse like hungry vultures. The heavy steel doors groan open. Zhang stands in the shadows, his soul heavy with a bitter regret. Inside, only total chaos remains. Yang Dao's face darkens instantly. You're kidding me. This is all that's left? Zhang scoffs. A small, bitter victory. Your precious buyers already took everything. The well has run dry. The shelves are bare, picked clean like a carcass. Yang Dao strokes his chin, a new plan forming. A predatory grin spreads across his face. The fox has found a new, much richer henhouse to raid. If we seize Jiang Xiaoyong's stash, we'll be the kings of this entire wasteland. A chill runs down Zhang's spine. Listen to me. Stay away from that man. He is a monster. He's armed to the teeth and twice as lethal. He isn't someone you ever want to provoke. That kid, he knew this was coming. He was prepared for the end of the world. Yang Dao scoffs, his own arrogance blinding him. Save your pathetic warnings for someone who actually cares. Actually, dealing with him sounds like a perfect job for you, old friend. A cold realization washes over Zhang. What? What are you planning? You absolute psycho? In this new world, might makes right. Bring me his supplies, or your family dies today. A simple trade for a simple man. The wheel of fate has finally turned, Zhang. Yesterday's master is today's slave. The predator has become the prey in a heartbeat. Rage simmers beneath the surface, but love holds him back. For them, he would walk through hell. Meanwhile, in the shadows of Jiang Xiaoyong's fortress, the air in the infirmary grows heavy with dread. Horror dawns on every face. Even the stoic Jiang Xiaoyong can't hide his own trembling hands. Chen Chong thrashes against his bonds like a trapped beast. The darkness within him is finally breaking free. The man they knew is gone, only a monster remains, emitting a gut-wrenching, undead howl. We watched our brother turn. Truong Chi's heart shattered. He was the reason for this nightmare. Fat Fourth sobbed in despair while Not Min stood there, silent and chillingly cold. Not Min sneered at our dying friend like he was garbage. Kill him, he commanded. I had doubted Not Min's humanity since the moment I brought them to this base. Seeing his heartless betrayal now, my suspicions were finally confirmed. He was a snake. What did you say? Truong Chi roared. Not Min just looked away, his eyes darting guiltily. He is dead already, if we do not act fast. Everyone here will die! Fat Fourth recoiled at such soulless logic. He is our brother. Are you just going to throw him away like trash? Truong Chi went silent. The grim reality hit us. There was no cure for this plague. I stood before the thrashing monster that used to be Transung, facing the truth. He is right. Once it turns, there is no return. Fat Fourth let out a whimper. I pulled a dagger from my pocket and shoved it toward Nat Min. Take it. Not Min turned pale, stumbling back in cowardice. What are you doing? My gaze remained icy, unbreaking. Finish him then. End his suffering. He stared at the blade, his arrogant mouth finally shutting as his hands began to tremble. I had him trapped. I wanted to see what kind of man he truly was. I leaned in close, whispering like a demon. You wanted a weapon, didn't you? I raised the steel. Now take it and set him free. Not Min froze in hesitation. Suddenly, Truong Chi lunged, snatching the dagger from my hand with a violent jerk. His sudden burst of courage caught me off guard. This was not the plan. Even Not Min gasped. Truong Chi held the blade, his face masked in pure agony. His hands shook, yet his eyes burned. Let me do it. I will end this. He was a kind soul forced to do the unthinkable. Fear choked his every breath. I grabbed the blade with my bare hand, testing his resolve. Are you absolutely sure? If I lied, you become a murderer. Think carefully before you plunge that steel. Tears fell, but his gaze didn't waver. I trust you, brother. He knew the truth. Once a zombie, the human soul is gone forever. Death was the only mercy left. I gave a slight nod. Then do it. Truong Chi approached the bed where the monster snarled, steel glinting in the dark. The frame groaned under the weight of the creature's violent, mindless thrashing. It was a cruel fate. He drove the blade down to end his best friend. A sickening shriek echoed. The blade stopped just inches from the monster's throat. At the final microsecond, I reached out and caught Truong Chi's arm. Truong Chi gasped for air, his face drenched in sweat and salt. He looked at me, broken and confused. I remained as cold as stone. I glanced at my glowing system screen. Everyone out. I have a use for him. A rare mutation alert had flashed. Fate had granted Transung a miracle. Soon, the room was empty. Only a heavy silence remained. Strange thuds echoed through the infirmary. I was alone with the beast. The creature lunged, hunger burning. Was there still a man trapped inside? I called his name. The snarling stopped, replaced by a low, rhythmic growl. I leaned in close to his ear. I have an important mission for you. As if he understood, his struggles ceased. The monster had found a master. Outside, the sky was blue, but the world was sinking into an endless abyss. The wreck was a graveyard of twisted metal. It had slammed the pole with bone-shattering force. Thang crawled from the ruins. His only thought was reaching Tiu Dung alive. He clutched his throbbing head. Damn it, his luck had finally run dry. He turned to leave, but a shadow lunged. A rot-filled nightmare was waiting. A guttural roar echoed. Thang's heart skipped a beat. What the hell? Before he could react, the gray beast sank its fangs into his left arm. Agony flared. He shoved the monster back and bolted for his life. Blood trailed behind him. The relentless predator was already back on its feet. He lunged for an iron rod. With a desperate roar, he shattered the creature's skull. Die, you piece of trash. The impact sent its teeth flying into the dirt. Rage took over. He pulverized the monster until his arms turned to lead. He stood over the carcass, drenched in a cold, suffocating sweat. His breath came in ragged gasps. The zombie was nothing but red pulp. I can't stay. The scent of blood was a dinner bell for the horde. He limped away, clutching his mangled arm. Meanwhile, back at the sanctuary, the remnants of the last battle were still groaning at the front gates. Time to take out the trash. I stepped out to face the rot. I watched them coldly. Fear was a feeling I had long since buried. My ragtag crew followed, armed with makeshift steel and trembling hearts. Little Sand struggled, her heavy combat gear feeling like a lead weight. Brother Dung, this is so heavy. It's making it hard to move. I looked her in the eye. Listen, this gear is your only lifeline. These things are mindless, but their raw strength will tear you apart. Wear the steel now. You can take it off once you've mastered death. I spotted a lurker and raised my hand. The hunt had officially begun. We were in the kill zone now. Every breath had to be silent. The team froze, eyes locked on the target. Focus was our only shield. The beast caught our scent. Its mangled face snapped toward us with hunger. We're compromised! Engage immediately! I barked, my voice cutting the air. It charged like a demon. Stay focused, support each other or die. The monster lunged for my throat, but it only caught the wind. I danced past its claws with the precision of a seasoned ghost. Wait for the miss, I shouted. That is your only window to strike. Big Two roared, swinging his heavy blade in a desperate wide arc. The steel met bone with a dull thud. The monster didn't even flinch. Two's arm went numb from the shock. Damn it! It didn't do anything. The skull is stone, I warned. Aiming there will only break your hands. The beast capitalized on his mistake, pinning Two down with terrifying weight. Two fought for air as the creature's snapping jaws drew closer. He blocked the fangs with his blade. Help! It's too strong! Help me! Get this thing off me! Chi! Anyone! Do something! I watched calmly. Good defense. Now hold your ground and wait. Chi! He's open! Strike now! Chi lunged forward, his bat whistling. Crack! The blow caught the monster's neck, sending it spinning away. I stood my ground. Better. But one strike isn't enough to end a nightmare. The carnage continues as the three warriors from Team 3 relentlessly batter a walker into a bloody pulp. Amidst the chaos, a lurker creeps up behind Xiaoyong. Zhang Qi beams with pride, seeking his leader's approval. Xiaoyong offers a satisfied smirk. Not half bad at all. Suddenly, the stalking predator strikes. Its jaw unhinges, inches away from tearing into Xiaoyong's shoulder. Terror grips Zhang Qi as he spots the impending strike. He bellows a frantic warning. Watch out, Brother Yong! The creature's rotten maw widens, hungry for a piece of fresh meat. But Xiaoyong doesn't flinch. With lethal precision, he catches the monster's skull in midair. While pinning the beast, he calmly lectures his team. Did you forget? Always master your surroundings. The zombie freezes, paralyzed by the sheer force of the main character's overwhelming grip. The team exhales in shock. Though shaken by the close call, they steel their resolve to keep fighting. Meanwhile, Zhang Shengzhe has successfully infiltrated the perimeter of Xiaoyong's hidden base. Crouching behind concrete barriers, he scowls at the distant camp. Damn it, refugees have already claimed this place. Panic flickers in his eyes. Did that brat Xiaoyong spill all the secrets already? Near an abandoned car, Xiaoyong's voice echoes, directing his squad to maintain a perfect defensive formation. Shengzhe creeps toward the vehicle, his heart racing. That voice, there is no mistaking it. It is definitely Xiaoyong. Nearby, Zhang Qi and the others are systematically dismantling the remaining undead threats. Hiding in the car's shadow, Shengzhe peeks out. Is Xiaoyong's crew actually executing the survivors? He is so focused on spying that he misses the dark silhouette rising directly beneath his feet. A newly turned walker catches the scent of living flesh, its eyes glowing with a predatory hunger. It is Xiao Ya Kui Jing's former friend. The girl who was devoured just 2 episodes ago has finally risen. Her once beautiful face is now a mangled nightmare of shredded skin and exposed bone. Her decaying hand grabs Shengzhe's leg, sending him crashing to the dirt in a state of pure panic. He kicks wildly, screaming in terror. One look at Xiao Ya's ruined face leaves him paralyzed with horror. Any trace of humanity has vanished from Xiao Ya's hollow, bloodshot eyes. She shrieks a guttural cry, lunging like a starved beast to end Zhang Shengzhe's life once and for all. Her shredded jaw hinges open, closing in on his throat as the stench of death fills the air. "Damn it all!" he wails, certain that his sins have finally caught up to him. He squeezes his eyes shut, waiting for the end, until a thunderous gunshot shatters the silence. Breathless, he opens his eyes. Tears stream down his face as he witnesses the impossible savior before him. Xiao Yong stands there, a cold executioner. His smoking barrel has turned Xiao Ya's head into a gruesome explosion. The treacherous Zhang Sheng Jie remains frozen in shock before frantically shoving the twitching corpse away from his body. He gasps for air, his face contorted in sheer disgust as the reality of death sinks in. Lowering his weapon, Xiao Yong glares at the pathetic man. "Shengze, what are you doing here?" Covered in the spray of Xiao Ya's brains, the villain slowly trembles his way back to his feet. He fakes a desperate plea, crawling toward his savior. "Brother Yong, thank God I found you alive." But Xiao Yong's sharp eyes spot a dark, spreading bruise on Shengze's arm, the mark of a bite. The wound is deep and already festering with necrotizing rot. The mutation has already begun. Without hesitation, Xiao Yong presses the cold steel against the man's forehead. "You've been bitten." Shengze's face pales as he collapses into a pathetic heap, begging for a mercy he does not deserve. "Don't fire. Please, Brother Yong, spare me. I have information you need to hear." Xiao Yong grinds his teeth, weary of the snake's lies. "Talk then, but don't you dare step closer." Realizing there is no escape from his fate, the light fades from the traitor's eyes. Tears fall as Shengze finally drops the act, bearing his soul under the shadow of the gun. "I know it's over, Brother Yong. Soon I will be just another mindless monster in this hell." My world was breaking. Agony twisted my features as a primal scream tore through the silence. "That scum Duong Dao. He took them. He kidnapped my wife and child. He forced me to lie to you, all just to steal your food reserves. Dung Sa, I'm no saint, but I never wanted to be a villain. Their innocence was my only plea. I stayed frozen, my gun heavy and silent in my grip. Thong Triet kept begging, his voice cracking with a desperation that chilled my bones. Those monsters won't let them go. Their fate will be a living nightmare. Please, watch over them. Consider the supplies I helped you find as their protection fee." A war raged within me. I narrowed my eyes, judging his soul. He was selfish, sure, but objectively, he had been the key to our survival. I glanced back at my team and gave a sharp, silent nod to stand down. I looked at the lives I carried, San Lao Han, Truong Chi, and the others. The fortress was vast. We had plenty of space, and the gender balance was off. Ding. A system notification? I smirked. A reward for a job like this? A new mission screen flickered to life, overriding the old one with a glowing prompt. Mission, save the family, progress, 0%, reward, 25 points. Below it, my current chore, street cleanup, purging the infected from our borders. Progress, 70%. Reward, 10 points. Finally, I turned to the broken man before me. Rest easy. Your family's safety? I'll take care of it myself. He froze, unable to believe his ears. Tears streamed down as he choked out. Really? All his pride vanished in an instant, replaced by a soul-deep gratitude. He dropped hard, his forehead cracking against the dirt in a desperate final kowtow. I can never repay you. In the next life, I'll be your loyal servant. Shaking with exhaustion, he slumped down and lowered his head. Dung Ka. Finish it. I let the silence hang for a moment. Finish what exactly? He squeezed his eyes shut, the agony of transformation beginning to take hold. End me. I won't become a monster and threaten my own family's life. To the world a devil, to them everything. His loyalty was unexpected. I stood there, stunned by the heart of this broken man. I turned to my companion, San. Get a bicycle from the storage and give it to him. She gasped, her eyes widening at the sheer insanity of my mercy. I shouldered my rifle, looking down at the man who had tried to betray me. Go! Find a quiet place away from the crowds. He stared up, baffled. But why? Don't ask why. You're running out of time. Just move. He accepted his fate with a faint, peaceful smile and a final bow. I understand. Thank you for everything, Dung Ka. Minutes later, he was a ghost, pedaling into the wasteland to meet his end alone. Time was a luxury he didn't have. A purple rot was already claiming his face. With every agonizing breath, he whispered their names like a sacred prayer. He was never a hero, but this end, it was truly tragic. One eye turned void black as the virus claimed him, yet he clung to that final hope. Back at the base, we dragged the zombie corpses into a massive, rotting pile. We were all exhausted, the stench of death heavy under my command. I soaked the pile in fuel and threw a match. The world turned to fire. Thick black smoke rose into the sky, a funeral pyre for the damned. While the rest stared at the fire, Not Min could only sigh. Man, today totally wiped me out. Mission accomplished. After training the team in zombie survival, Kwang Tae-dong began his final debriefing. Considering their current strength and the hard-earned experience they had gained, 2 or 3 people using basic melee weapons could now hunt lone zombies without breaking a sweat. The system screen flickered. Street cleanup complete. 10 points added. Total points, 28. Despite their victory, Tae-dong issued a grim warning about the true danger of the undead. Don't get cocky, he added. Facing even a small pack or a massive horde is still suicide. The mood turned heavy as everyone realized the hellish challenges waiting for them ahead. Follow me, Tae-dong commanded, heading inside. San and Trong-chi followed, wondering what was next. Minutes later, the entire team stood before the massive, iron-clad doors of the central warehouse. Tae-dong led the pack, with Old Han and San right behind him as his shadows. Old Han, Tae-dong called softly. The veteran responded instantly, I'm here. What's the plan, kid? Suddenly, Tae-dong produced a heavy key and held it out with a serious expression. Take the weapons inside. I'm heading into the city tonight for the fortress's safety. Watch the base. Old Han took the key, his face etched with worry. The city is pure chaos right now. Going alone is suicide. Truong-chi and Fatty Tukai immediately volunteered to join him. Brother, let us come too, they shouted. Meanwhile, Not-min stayed eerily silent in the corner. Tae-dong shot down their offer instantly. His face remained calm, trying to ease their panic. Not yet. You aren't ready for the high-level horrors lurking in those city streets. You'd just be a burden. He turned to Old Han. Sir, I'm counting on you for everything. Han gripped his AK-47 tight. Don't worry, just make sure you come back alive, Tae-dong. After securing the base, Tae-dong packed several firearms and tactical gear into his car. As he drove off, the system chimed. The shop was empty. Completely and utterly empty. A manual refresh button glowed. Cost, 2 points. Tae-dong sighed at the slow restock speed. Without wasting a single second, he hit refresh. This mission is high rank. I need better gear to ensure my survival. The shop reset. 2 points deducted. Remaining balance, 26 points. Level 1, high-tech crate, 20 points. The choice was clear if he wanted to live. Other boxes were cheaper, but the next refresh doubled to 4 points. He had to choose now. Tae-dong closed his eyes, a bitter, stressed smile crossing his face at the cost. The refresh price doubles? I need to be damn careful with these points from now on. He rubbed his chin. Spending points was painful, but he clicked the first crate anyway. System notification. Level 1 high-tech crate purchased successfully. 20 points deducted. Points remaining, 6. Suddenly, a blinding light exploded inside the car, illuminating the entire road. Item identified. Physical enhancement potion. A massive +5 permanent stat boost. Stunned by the sudden flash, Tae-dong shielded his eyes, his heart racing with shock. What the hell? Did a flashbang go off? Then, he saw the glowing syringe in his hand. Damn! A 5-point physical boost? No more playing around. He drove the needle into his arm without hesitation, feeling the raw power surge through him. Energy flowed through his veins like liquid fire, evolving his body at a terrifying speed. His eyes turned pure white, glowing with divine light as his hair stood on end. System analysis. Physical stat 13. 260% of a normal human. Mind's eye unlocked. The scene shifts to Trong Thong Triet's high-rise apartment. Little Soai's room was eerily quiet. His wife and son were locked inside, safe for now, but trembling with absolute fear. Don't cry, Soai, she whispered. Your father will be home soon. I promise. The door burst open as Yang Tao and his thugs stormed in. Trong Thang's wife screamed in pure terror. What do you think you're doing? Yang Tao's twisted intentions were clear. He cornered her, stroking her hair with a vile smirk. What am I doing? Is it not obvious? Just a little something to quench my thirst. The subordinate's tongue flicked out, eyes gleaming with predatory hunger. In a heartbeat, Zhang Sheng's wife had her coat shredded, exposing her trembling skin to the cold air. Her frail resistance was useless. Tears of pure terror fell as those two bastards, Duong Dao and the giant in white, slammed her onto the floor. Duong Dao pinned her down like prey, while his partner let out a sickening laugh, tearing away her brown outer layer. Poor little Soai fought with everything his tiny body had, but his desperate struggle was tragically ignored. The boy's screams echoed through the room while his mother pleaded through her tears. Please, I beg you, stop! Their cruelty knew no bounds. In this godforsaken apocalypse, it was as if demons had hollowed out their souls. As the boy swung his weak, trembling fists, a shadow loomed over the doorway. A foot stepped into the room. It wasn't who they expected. It was the man at the top of this twisted food chain, their leader, Li Ka. Intrigued by the commotion, he stepped inside, scratching his neck casually. What's all this racket about? He drawled. The white-shirted scumbag grinned, his eyes full of filth. Boss Lai, you're just in time. Come join the fun. Li Ka, his hair a shock of blonde, looked down at them with a cold, piercing gaze. "Shut it, you moron. The job isn't done yet. Prioritize the mission and unhand her." The subordinate's face twisted in frustration. His momentum killed. He hissed through gritted teeth. "What's your problem, boss? It's not like we've never done this before." Li Ka was the strategist, the one who saw the bigger picture. He sighed, looking at his impulsive underlings with disdain. He narrowed his eyes, his voice dripping with icy threats. "Touch her now? If this woman decides to end it all, then what? Without her as leverage, Zhang Sheng won't have a reason to obey us anymore. We'd lose everything, you brainless fool." Slipping his hands into his pockets, Li Ka cast a vile, lingering look at the trembling mother and son. "Once we're finished with him, she's all yours. We'll take turns until she breaks. Not a single second of peace." Reluctantly, Duong Dao and the other man stood up. The white-shirted thug adjusted his belt, spitting out bitter words. "Fine, have it your way." Mood's totally ruined now. Duong Dao followed them toward the exit, his eyes still lingering. He turned back one last time, pulling a grotesque face to mock them. "Just you wait." Left alone, the poor woman shivered in despair. Huddled in the pitch black, mother and child trembled, their tears lost to the night. Shadows swallowed the city. Amidst the rusted wreckage, a lone pair of headlights cut through the gloom. Grotesque, twisted shapes the undead roamed the desolate streets like ghosts of a dead world. Behind the wheel of that solitary moving car sat Jiang Xiaoyong. He leaned back, mind racing with system upgrade strategies as he drifted through the apocalypse. With 13 points in stamina, his power had doubled. His reflexes were now superhuman. The car danced through the obstacles. He handled the wheel with the grace of a predator. They reached the main artery, a graveyard of steel. No sign of the living remained. Only the wet sound of tearing flesh echoed as monsters feasted in the dark corners. Xiaoyong killed the engine. He slipped out, closing the door with a silent, metallic click. "The city center is up ahead," he muttered. "Too loud for a car. Time to walk." A guttural roar shattered the silence. Something was hunting nearby. Two shadows lunged from the darkness, claws hungry for blood. Driven by mindless hunger, they charged. Xiaoyong pivoted, narrowly avoiding their snapping jaws. But these things? They were nothing to him. Mere bugs compared to his current evolution. He flowed like water, sidestepping a frantic swipe. The beast's claws caught only air. In one explosive motion, his fist slammed into the monster's shoulder. With a surge of raw strength, he hurled the beast backward into its companion. They crashed into a heap. Xiaoyong stood his ground, his gaze cold and unwavering. With a flick of his wrist, he summoned his weapon. The air grew heavy with killing intent. He loomed over the dazed monsters, a god among corpses. Xiaoyong's blade materialized instantly. With steel in hand, he prepared to butcher the approaching monsters. He moved like a ghost, silent and deadly. A true phantom, he lunged forward with cold precision. Steel flashed in a lethal blur. As he steadied his stance, decapitated heads hit the pavement. The undead never saw it coming. Their worlds split in two before they could even growl. Standing in the headlights, Xiaoyong gripped his blade. A confident smirk crossed his face. Strength, reflexes. Everything is off the charts. Is this the power of doubled stats? It wasn't just raw power. His senses had evolved, sharpening to a razor's edge. High-frequency vibrations echoed in his mind. Damn it. We're already being surrounded. He glared toward the dense apartment blocks. They're closing in. 800 meters, he muttered. Suddenly, a system alert flared to life. Random quest triggered. Emergency encounter. 800 meters away, a mini-mart was under siege. A frenzied horde clawed at the glass. The monsters were relentless, some even using their own skulls as battering rams against the door. Inside, screams of pure despair echoed. A lone guard stood center stage, clutching a shotgun. "Barricade the entrance!" he roared, desperate to keep the nightmare from breaking inside. "Move the heavy shelves, now!" Two survivors, a father and son, strained against the weight. Tears streamed down the boy's face. "Dad, are we going to die in here?" Drenched in sweat, the father tried to stay calm. "No, son, everything will be okay. They won't get in. And if they do, we'll just be with your mother again." The boy collapsed into hopeless sobbing. His world was crumbling under the weight of terror. The guard winced at the sound, his patience snapping at the father's grim words. "Damn it, Old Song, pick a better time for a pep talk. You're making it worse." Old Song snapped back, his long-hidden frustrations finally boiling over in the heat of battle. "If I knew how to talk, I'd be the building manager, not stuck here with you." The guard's grip tightened on his weapon. Is this really how it all ends for us? Just as hope vanished, a violent symphony of slaughter erupted from the other side of the glass. The sound was deafening. The survivors froze, their hearts skipping a beat in pure shock. Everyone braced for the worst. The lone woman in the group scrambled into the shadows. The guard aimed his weapon as a zombie's skull slammed violently against the reinforced glass. Asterisk crash! Asterisk! The impact nearly shattered the door, sending the father and son reeling in terror. The boy tumbled backward, paralyzed by fear, while his father stood frozen like a statue. They watched in horror as thick black ichor began to streak down the glass pane. For 30 agonizing minutes, the glass was painted red in a relentless, silent massacre. When silence finally returned, the guard was trembling, his face pale and drenched in sweat. Ha, ha, old song Zi Xuan. Help me clear these barricades, now. The woman watched in confusion as the guard maintained his aim, fearing a new nightmare. Use the lift. Keep it quiet, they whispered, hauling the heavy furniture away from the door. Understood, they grunted, carefully clearing the path to the unknown world outside. Shotgun raised, the guard took a trembling first step out into the silent corridor. He gasped. The entire horde lay in a mangled, motionless heap across the pavement. The survivors crept out, clutching their makeshift weapons. Who could have done this? The sheer scale of the carnage was beyond anything a normal human could achieve. Zi Xuan's face went pale. It was a mutant. It had to be a mutant. A mutant? Old Song blinked. Son, what on earth are you talking about? They're stronger and faster than anything else. Perfect killing machines, the boy whispered. The comics, the games, the novels, they all warned us. This is only the beginning. Nearby, a father's frustrated shout broke the tension. Comics and games, is that all you care about while the world ends? Your grades were always trash. The guard nearby gripped his rifle, ignoring the family drama. Old Tong, shut it. Your focus is slipping. Keep your eyes peeled. A high-level variant could be breathing down our necks right now. The group of 4 moved as one, weapons drawn, stepping into the nightmare. Stay sharp, the guard whispered. Slowly, toward the rally point. They reached the corner. The guard's hand shot up a silent command to freeze. Wait! They peered out, gasping in disbelief. What is that kid doing? There stood Xiaoyang, calmly interacting with a shimmering holographic interface. Mission clear. Rescue. Points awarded. 5. Current total. 11. Zixuan's eyes widened. Look! He's an awakened! A high-tier variant for sure! But the guard saw it differently. No, he whispered, scanning the boy. He looks like a regular human. To Xiaoyang's enhanced senses, their whispers were as loud as a stadium's roar. He glanced back with a razor-sharp smirk. A variant? You've got quite the imagination. The real monsters haven't even shown up yet. The guard's tension finally snapped. He lowered his weapon, a relieved smile crossing his face. A survivor. You're real. He signaled for Xiaoyang to join them, his voice urgent but kind. Kid, being alone is a death sentence. Stick with us if you want to live. Xiaoyang raised an eyebrow at the offer. And who exactly are you people? The guard kept his eyes moving. We're just scavengers looking for supplies. There is a civilian base at Donghuang Court. Xiaoyang's eyes narrowed. Donghuang? Isn't Kim Duke Manor just a stone's throw from there? Old Song leaned in, answering Xiaoyang's query with a nod. Yeah, it's close. Just 1 block over. Sensing a potential ally, Song and the guard invited Xiaoyang to join. Song clapped his shoulder. Listen, kid, stick with us. There's power in numbers, and Captain Lee is armed with a handgun. We're veteran zombie hunters. We'll keep you safe. Lee puffed his chest, flaunting his weapon with pride. Xiaoyang didn't know how to respond to their confidence. He just gave a squinty-eyed, awkward smile. He nodded repeatedly, thanking them. Soon, the group of 5 began their journey toward the survivors' base. Huddled together, the new team began navigating through the desolate, dangerous city streets. The 4 veterans led the way, eyes scanning every corner with intense, battle-hardened suspicion. Only Xiaoyang strolled casually behind. Breaking the silence, Old Song turned back to pry for info. He lowered his voice cautiously. Hey kid, heading to Jindu Mansion? Searching for someone special? Avoiding a long explanation, Xiaoyang simply grunted in affirmation and looked away, avoiding Song's gaze. Song's concern was genuine. He stopped dead in his tracks. Is it family or maybe a girlfriend? Xiaoyang remained silent. Mistaking his quietness for grief, Song offered a sympathetic pat on the back. The world has ended. Prepare yourself. Whoever you're seeking is likely dead. That's just the cold, hard reality we face. Captain Lee spat bitterly. He's right. If the monsters didn't get them, those scavengers definitely did. Scavengers? Xiaoyang asked, sensing a new threat in Lee's tone. Lee began detailing the ruthless gangs currently terrorizing the eastern districts of the city. A pack of thugs holed up in the Bishui mountain villas. They're monsters in human skin. They murder survivors just to steal a meal. We've lost good men to those bastards already. Just as the words left his lips, a dark silhouette emerged from the gloom ahead. A rotting figure with bared, white teeth loomed close. Oblivious, Lee waved off the dark conversation. Forget it. Just remember, in this world, never trust a living soul you don't know. Little Zixuan spotted the creature first. A scream of pure terror ripped from his throat. "Uncle Lee, look out!" The captain jumped as a pale, frenzied ghoul lunged at his throat. Rotting claws reached for him. Reacting on pure instinct, Lee whipped out his pistol and chambered around. Bang! The gunshot shattered the eerie silence of the empty street. The zombie collapsed instantly. A clean headshot. Despite the kill, Lee's heart hammered against his ribs in sheer panic. He gripped his weapon tight, teeth clenched as he hissed a curse under his breath. The shot was a dinner bell. Dozens of moans echoed nearby. Lee realized his fatal mistake immediately. The noise drew them in. Panic stripped away his bravado as the undead began closing in. His courage vanished. Trembling, he looked around wildly, muttering, "Think, Lee. Stay calm. What now?" His eyes landed on a stalled bus. "There! That's our only shot at survival. Move it! Everyone, get inside that bus now!" Lee sprinted, leading the desperate charge. The group scrambled after him. Xiaoyong followed silently, his expression unreadable and calm. He wasn't ready to reveal his true power yet. He was busy calculating the group's worth. Running blindly invites death, but a bus offers a solid choke point. It was a tactical choice. Under pressure, that's a 70-point decision, Xiaoyong whispered, clearly impressed by the captain's reflex. The team piled inside. Despite his fear, Lee held the door, waiting for the kid. "Kid, move your ass!" A snarling zombie was inches away from grabbing Xiaoyong's jacket. Xiaoyong kicked into high gear. Lee stepped aside, clearing a path into the vehicle. He blurred past like a shadow. The moment he cleared the steps, Lee slammed the door shut. "Zixuan, check every seat," Lee barked. "Make sure no sleepers are waiting for us inside." The boy peered through the glass. "They're not stopping. They're surrounding us. There's so many." Rotting faces pressed against the windows, their dead eyes staring in as they pounded the metal. Facing this suffocating tension, old Lee's heart raced as he hissed, "Damn it, why are we moving so slow?" Outside the bus, the undead grew increasingly frantic, their rotting limbs slamming relentlessly against the metal frame. The situation turned dire as the sea of monsters swelled, slowly surrounding the vehicle in a suffocating embrace. Old Lee's voice cracked with pure helplessness. "Curse it! I can't hold them!" He was failing inside the door. He threw his weight against the entrance, but a stray claw jammed into the gap, forcing the door open. In that heartbeat between life and death, old Lee truly believed their journey had reached its bloody end. Suddenly, Xiaoyong stepped up, bracing his arm against the door to assist. Old Lee stared in pure shock. Seconds later, without needing old Lee's help, Xiaoyong shut the door with a single, effortless, crushing shove. Stunned by this impossible display of strength, old Lee stood frozen, staring blankly at the calm Jiang Xiaoyong. Old Lee's mouth hung open as his mind raced. How could anyone possess such monstrous, overwhelming power? Xiaoyong kept his grip on the door, his eyes cold and sharp. "I have the door. They won't break in. Go get the others. Smash the windows and fight." Jolted awake, old Lee scrambled toward the back, stammering incoherently. Following Xiaoyong's command, old Lee shattered the bus window, his adrenaline surging in the face of death. The noise instantly drew the horde's attention. A frenzy of rotting hands lunged desperately through the broken glass. They snarled and hammered against the steel. Suddenly, an iron rod pierced a zombie's skull, making it shriek in agony. Above them, Old Song was leaning out the window, driving a jagged metal pipe directly into the nearest monster. Song gritted his teeth, snarling, "Die, you bastards!" Inside, Zixuan and the woman anchored him by his waist. Old Lee stood right behind them, his finger trembling on the trigger as he aimed his gun outside. Realizing the scale of the nightmare, Old Lee's face paled. "There are too many. We don't have enough ammo. Use this instead." Just as panic set in, Xiaoyong's calm voice whispered directly into Old Lee's ear. "A crossbow? Where'd this come from?" Old Lee asked, staring as Xiaoyong handed it over with one hand. Xiaoyong shoved the weapon into his hands, his expression unreadable. "I just picked it up on the way." Still reeling from the surprise, Old Lee took the weapon with both hands, feeling its lethal weight. Moments later, a zombie took a bolt straight through the temple. With new weapons, the fear began to vanish. The two men leaned out, one smashing and one shooting, until the pavement was littered with the fallen. The monsters lay in heaps, with only a few struggling. Old Song roared, "Come on, eat dirt, you freaks!" Minutes later, the threat was neutralized. Finally, the 5 survivors dared to step off the blood-stained bus. Little Zixuan gripped his stick tightly, his eyes wide with a mix of lingering terror and newfound pride. "It wasn't luck. We are the chosen ones of this apocalypse." Meanwhile, Xiaoyong stretched his aching arm. He turned a piercing gaze toward Zixuan, his voice stern. "Don't be arrogant. Carelessness is a death sentence. Stay sharp. Never repeat those mindless mistakes again. The scene shifts to the base, where darkness still reigns. Young Yiming sighed, his voice filled with worry for his friend. I hope Xiao Yong is doing okay. Inside the base, Old Han and the others were heading to their rooms after a long, exhausting meeting. Yiming stepped forward, pointing at himself as he addressed Old Han. Let me take the night watch tonight. The chubby Zhao Kai looked at him suspiciously, nudging his shoulder with a playful but confused grin. Yiming flinched, snapping back with an uncharacteristic flash of anger. What? You think I'm never being helpful? Mind your own damn business. Xiao Kai froze, biting his lip before turning away with a shrug. What's with the attitude? Xiao Kai muttered, while Yiming continued to glare at him with burning eyes. Old Han, seeing Yiming's sudden enthusiasm, nodded. Fine. If Yiming is volunteering for the shift, everyone else go get some rest. He added, stay alert, Yiming. Wake us if anything feels wrong. Yiming nodded instantly. Don't worry. As the others drifted off into a deep, unsuspecting sleep, the night grew heavy. Standing atop the fortress, Yiming sat alone, his eyes gleaming with hidden intent. The timing is perfect. They should all be asleep by now, he muttered, his plan finally in motion. He turned and walked away, whispering to the shadows, I must settle this before Xiao Yong returns home. Below, Old Han slept soundly, unaware that the warehouse keys lay vulnerable right beside his head. A sliver of light cut through the darkness. Old Man Han slept on, unaware. Not Min had abandoned his post. Like a ghost, he slipped into the room. His face twisted into a mask of malice. Slowly, the traitor crept closer. His hand trembled as he reached out. The armory key was right there. Han remained lost in a deep slumber. He didn't show any sign of waking. Suddenly, Han's eyes snapped open. What the hell are you doing? He roared. Not Min froze in terror. Realizing he was caught, he decided to strike. A brutal blow dazed the old man. Not Min snatched the key and bolted. Han struggled to give chase, but his age betrayed him. He screamed out, You little bastard, give it back! The shouting woke everyone in the hall. San and Truong Chi rushed out, panicked. What's happening? San cried out. Han clutched his bruised head. Not Min stole the armory keys. Stop him. Without a second thought, the trio sprinted after the fleeing traitor. Stand still, Truong Chi yelled. Behind him, Chukai struggled to keep up. Not Min, what are you doing? But the traitor ran on in silence. To block their path, he shoved heavy equipment and debris into the hallway. The way was instantly barred. The pursuers were forced to a screeching halt. Truong Chi fumed with rage. Meanwhile, Not Min reached the medical bay. A sinister smirk crossed his face. Well, there's no turning back now. He stepped inside where the restrained Transhung waited. He approached cautiously. Sensing fresh life, the zombie began to thrash and howl in fury. Not Min reached for the bindings. The zombie's skin was a deathly pale. Suddenly, a decayed hand snapped free. It lunged straight for Not Min's throat. He scrambled back, heart pounding. Holy crap! He screamed in pure terror. The monster flailed its loose arm. Why the hell was that so loose? A dark realization hit him. His expression turned truly demonic and cold. Fine, saves me the trouble. Behind him, the others finally broke through. They reached the medical bay, only to find a haunting figure standing there. Truong Chi's blood ran cold. That coward. He released Transhung. He's trying to kill us all! Transhung was now a complete monster. The creature swayed on its feet, emitting a guttural, bone-chilling growl. Old Han arrived, gasping for air. That goddamn animal, he cursed. I was a fool to trust him. San turned to Han, her eyes wide. What do we do? All our weapons are in that locked room. Han's eyes hardened with resolve. We have to force him back in. Together! He immediately began barking out orders for a desperate tactical counterattack. Split up. Use the formation we practiced. Don't let him bite you. They crept forward like predators. The zombie stood still, staring into nothingness. Now! Han roared. Truong Chi and San charged with explosive speed. The monster didn't react in time. Truong Chi's intensive training finally paid off. He locked the zombie in a chokehold. San and Tiu Kai pinned the arms. The beast shrieked in rage. We've got him! Keep him down! Han threw the door open. Hurry! Get him back into the room. They coordinated perfectly. 3, 2, 1. Go! They shoved the monster back. With a heavy slam, the door was bolted shut. One crisis was over. Old Han froze as he watched Chen Chong's silhouette. Even Zhang Qi felt a sudden, chilling sense of dread. He turned to his friend, whispering with a trembling voice, Is it just me, or is something wrong? Overpowering him felt too easy. Old Han nodded grimly, then turned his focus toward that treacherous rat, Nut Min. He cursed under his breath. If that bastard had been lurking this long, he definitely found a weapon. Suddenly, a voice cut through the air. Oh? And just who are you calling a beast, old man? Newt Min stepped from the shadows with a smug grin, though his eyes burned with frustration at his weapon. Damn it, I couldn't find Kung Teo Dung's main stash. This single pistol was all that was in the armory. This pathetic coward was finally showing his true, ugly colors. He aimed the muzzle at his own allies. One gun is enough to handle you. I'll find the rest later. The group stood paralyzed by his sudden betrayal. Newt Min barked out a command. Start moving, all of you. Back in the rear room, Treung Chi finally snapped. Look, Newt Min, have you lost your mind? What are you doing? How could you forget? Brother Teo Dung is the one who saved our miserable lives. Newt Min's face hardened into a mask of malice. To him, a great debt was nothing but a heavy burden. Save us? He just wants us to be his slaves forever. I'm done living in his arrogant shadow. Old Han's blood boiled at the ingratitude. Some people are just born snakes, biting the hand that feeds. Teo Hai tried one last time to reach his friend, his voice cracking with desperation. Look, Newt Min, stop this. Inside the infirmary, Tren Zheng watched the chaos, the gun barrel glinting in the light. Do as I say, Newt Min snarled. Meanwhile, Tren Zheng's expression was twisting into something monstrous. His eyes turned a deep, demonic red, as thick veins pulsed violently across his distorted face. Horror struck the key was in the zombie's hand. Outside, Newt Min's arrogant shouting continued. Move, damn it! The scene shifts to the city center, specifically the Donghung district. After surviving the latest zombie surge, Old Lee pointed toward the next intersection, the gateway to Kim Duk Mansion. The apartment complex is a labyrinth, brother. Be careful, those monsters love to hide in the tight corners. Old Lee looked at Teo Dung with genuine concern, gesturing toward the dark road ahead. Find your people, then meet us at Donghung. We're on floor 8. Use the side door, never the main. Remember that. Teo Dung didn't say a word, simply giving a confident thumbs up as he walked away. I've got it, thanks. He vanished into the gloom, leaving Lao Tong and Old Lee watching his retreating back. Lao Tong whispered, Shouldn't we help him? Lee sighed. We don't know what's waiting inside Kim Duk Mansion. One wrong turn and it's over, Tong frowned. But isn't he just walking straight into his own grave? They clearly had no idea what Teo Dung was truly capable of. Old Lee just shook his head slowly. I've told him everything I can. It's a shame to lose someone with such incredible strength and potential. Meanwhile, at Trung Thung Treat's tower, the ground floor was crawling with a sea of the undead. Young and old, all transformed into blood-soaked nightmares, wandering aimlessly in search of fresh, warm flesh. Upstairs, Duong Dao paced like a caged animal. Damn it, the power's out and the phones have zero signal. He leaned against the wall, his face twisted in a mixture of exhaustion and growing irritation. Who knows what that idiot Trung Thung is doing? He's probably failed his mission already. A lackey in a white shirt spat on the floor. I'm done waiting. I need to blow off some steam tonight. The thugs gathered like vultures outside the room where the mother and young Soai Soai were hiding. Exactly, a man in black added. Trung Thung went out alone. He's probably zombie food by now. Dung Dao smirked, finding their twisted logic convincing. He pushed off the wall and looked at the door. When you tie her up, make sure she can't find a way to kill herself. We're not done yet. Another thug chuckled darkly. In this world, we could die tomorrow. Might as well enjoy ourselves while we can. Inside the room, the mother and her son heard every single disgusting word through the thin door. They huddled together, trembling in absolute terror as silent, agonizing tears streamed down their pale faces. At the window, Dung Dao gave the final nod. The predators were ready to strike their innocent prey. He crossed his arms, granting a chilling permission. Fine, just don't kill them yet. The punks grinned like hyenas. Got it, boss. One even smirked. You taking the first turn? Boss Lee just scoffed, but a lackey chirped, Speak up, or you're going last in line. Suddenly, the boss froze. His eyes locked onto the window in pure, paralyzing shock. Below, the once roaming undead were now a mangled heap of flesh and gore, completely decimated. Hearing a strange noise outside, Boss Lee cautiously stepped out to investigate the disturbance. He scanned the stairs, teeth gritted. Is it a rescue team? Then, the air shifted. His eyes bulged as a silver flash tore through the air. A clean, silent, lethal strike. Before he could even blink, his head slid off, thudding heavily against the cold floor. His body stood still for a heartbeat. Inside, the mother and son huddled in pure terror. Zhang's wife trembled uncontrollably, pulling little Soai Soai tighter into her protective embrace. Get away from us, she screamed, as a depraved thug approached, unbuckling his belt. Cut the act, lady, he sneered with a sickening, twisted grin that promised nightmare. He ripped her collar while another bastard snatched the boy away by his shirt. Let him go, she wailed, only to be silenced by a brutal, bone-jarring slap. Soai Soai was tossed aside like trash. His mother's hand reached out, shaking with helplessness. "You're our real prize," the thug hissed. Despite the pain, the boy struggled to stand. "I'll kill you," the child sobbed, but his tiny fists were no match for monsters. A heavy boot sent him flying through the door, sliding hard across the hallway floor. The door slammed shut. So I glared at the wood, his heart burning with rage. "Let my mom go! My dad is going to make you all pay for this!" Just then, the headless corpse of the boss collapsed right in front of the boy. The boy's face turned deathly pale. Death was staring him right in the face. A dark silhouette appeared in the doorway, eyes glowing. The boy let out a shriek, but it was him. Jiang Xiaoyang had arrived, stepping into the light like a vengeful god. "Is Zhang Shengze your father?" he asked. The boy could only nod, trembling in fear. Inside, the wife huddled in the shadows, clutching her torn clothes as tears fell. Suddenly, Yang Dao lunged forward, delivering a thunderous slap that echoed through the room. "Scream, damn it! Don't tell me you're worried the kid will hear you. Scream louder!" She bit her lip until it bled, refusing to let out a sound for her son. "Fine, stay quiet," the thug leered, reaching for her. "I'm taking my turn now." Tears streamed down her face until the door was suddenly blasted off its hinges. A thug in green turned, annoyed. "That brat actually broke the door? No way. The little monster's got some kick," he muttered, unaware of the shadow behind him. That same lethal flash of light reappeared, carving a bloody line across his throat. Yang Dao barked, "What are you standing there for? Kick that brat back out!" But the man was already a corpse. His head rolled away as his body slumped. The remaining thugs froze, their lust instantly replaced by a wave of paralyzing terror. In a heartbeat, Xiaoyong's hand clamped onto Yang Dao's face like a steel vice. With a savage shove, he sent the bastard crashing into a cabinet, coughing up blood. His eyes rolled back. It was over before the others could even process the attack. One coward scrambled to pull up his pants. "Who the hell are you, man?" No words were needed. Xiaoyong's boot met his face with absolute, bone-crushing force. Meanwhile, at the base, tensions exploded as Nat Min leveled his gun at his allies. Old Han's blood boiled with rage, but with a gun aimed, he had no choice. Old Man Han leaned in, urging Sansan to obey the madman's orders. She hesitated, her eyes blazing with defiance. "Survival comes first," Han whispered, cutting her off. "Remember, he's the one holding the gun. Just follow along while I think," Han urged. Not Min sneered. "Thinking of an escape? I'll make sure no one leaves today." Not Min leveled his weapon right at Han's face. A twisted grin crept across his lips. "You die first, old man." "Grandfather!" Sansan screamed. Zhang Qi watched in a silent rage, his blood boiling at Not Min's cold-blooded betrayal. "Stop this madness!" Zhang Qi roared. Suddenly, a deafening crash erupted from the medical room where the zombie Tran Zung lay. Every head turned toward the noise. Not Min froze, his voice trembling. "What was that? What's going on?" "The door was locked," he stammered. Behind him, the doorknob began to rattle violently, as if possessed by an unseen force. They watched in horror as the lock spun with unnatural speed, clicking frantically against the frame. "Who's in there?" they whispered. A second later, the door flew open, and Tran Zheng stood there like a vengeful ghost. Silence fell as they stared. Their eyes widened, seeing a key was still wedged deep inside the lock. A key? Did Tran Zheng? Did he actually unlock the door himself? Not Min stumbled back, gasping. "Impossible! He's a mindless monster! A zombie shouldn't know how to use a key!" The undead Tran Zheng charged toward Not Min, his presence radiating pure menace. Not Min turned ghostly pale with fear. Fury burned in the zombie's eyes. He had regained human reason, fueled by betrayal. Not Min pivoted his aim. He pointed the gun at Tran Zheng's face. "Damn you, a zombie that thinks is too dangerous to live." Not Min's finger tightened on the trigger. Click! A hollow sound echoed through the room. Something was horribly wrong. The gun had jammed. He stared at the weapon in disbelief, sweat pouring down his face. No, not now. Why now? Before he could react, Tran Zheng lunged like a predator. Nat Min's heart stopped as death loomed over him. "How can this be?" he shrieked. The traitor's life ended in crimson as his former friend tore him apart like a beast. After the carnage, Tran Zheng stood up, his face stained red and his breath coming in ragged, angry growls. He began to drag Nat Min's mangled remains across the cold floor, leaving a gruesome trail of blood behind. The body was unrecognizable. The team watched, paralyzed by the sheer brutality of the scene unfolding before them. Old Man Han's eyes were wide with shock. What just happened?" Zhang Qi whispered. He was so calm before. Tran Zheng turned his blood-streaked face toward his comrades, exhaling a long breath before slowly approaching them. Everyone recoiled in fear. Han instinctively covered his nose, gagging at the overwhelming stench of fresh blood and decay. Tran Zheng reached for the door lock, yanked the key out, and tossed it aside with cold finality. Clink! The key skittered across the floor, stopping at Han and Zhang Qi's feet. They stared at it in disbelief. Without a word, the zombie retreated into the medical room and slammed the door shut, locking himself away again. The 4 survivors stood there, shells of their former selves, reeling from Tran Zung's inexplicably human choice. They realized he had protected them from the traitor. Meanwhile, across town at Zhang Shengzi's residence, Jiang Xiaoyong had successfully breached the room. He had Duong Dao and the henchmen bound and gagged. He watched the mother and her son, Soai, huddling together. "Hey kid," Xiaoyong called out, "come here." Soai looked up, trembling. His mother looked broken, her eyes filled with a desperate, animal-like fear. Fearing Xiaoyong was just another monster, she pulled her son closer. "What do you want with my boy?" Xiaoyong remained stoic. "Come," he repeated. Something in his voice told Soai that this man was different. The boy stepped out of his mother's embrace. "It's okay, Mom," he whispered. His mother watched, her heart pounding. Xiaoyong held out a carrot to the boy. Soai froze, staring at the offering with wide, confused eyes. Then, Xiaoyong pointed toward the tied-up captives, his voice turning cold. "Now, use this to pierce through them." The prisoners turned pale, shaking uncontrollably. Soai looked at the carrot, his innocence clashing with the dark request. Duong Dao and his lackey began to wail, their muffled screams filling the room as they begged for mercy. The mother gasped in horror. "Please, sir, he's just a child. Don't make him do this." Xiaoyong looked down at the boy, who was drowning in a sea of conflicting emotions. He spoke firmly. "The world you knew is gone," Xiaoyong declared, stealing the boy's fragile spirit. "Everything changes today. Kid, you're the only one who can protect her now. Breathe deep and erase the monsters who hurt her." Gripping the carrot, Soai's mind burned with the faces of the monsters who ruined his family. His tiny face hardened with a fierce, unwavering resolve as he realized what he had to do. With tears blurring his vision, he lunged at Duong Dao and his goon with desperate fury. He screamed with all his might. Suddenly, red sauce splattered everywhere as the villains groaned in pain. He stood amidst the red puddle, still clutching his sauce-covered vegetable while the thugs lay slumped. His mother watched in pure shock, unable to believe what her young son had just done. "Oh, my dear boy, how did it ever come to this?" Soai turned with hollow eyes. "Uncle, did they kill my father too?" Xiaoyong fell silent. He nodded slowly, his voice heavy with the grim, tragic truth. The boy dropped his weapon and collapsed into his mother's arms, wailing in pure agony. His mother bit her lip to stifle her sobs, finally completing their desperate rescue mission. As Xiaoyong turned to depart, the mother begged him with tearful, desperate eyes. "Take my son, I'll pay any price!" But the boy refused to leave her side. Their tragic bond was a heart-wrenching sight to witness in this cruel world. "You're both coming," Xiaoyong stated. "I promise to keep this entire family safe." He led them toward the base, each survivor armed and ready for the walk of death. They navigated through a graveyard of fallen monsters, littering the cold, dark ground. Soai stared in awe. Is he really strong enough to kill all these creatures alone? His eyes sparkled with pure admiration for the hero standing right before him. Xiaoyong remained stoic. Suddenly, he signaled for them to stop immediately. Wait, a strange noise echoed nearby. His senses sharpened to a razor's edge in an instant. "Where is Building 8 of Honghuang Vian?" he asked, his voice low and urgent. The mother gripped her blade tight. "It's right where you're looking." "Why? What's wrong?" At Building 8, a gang of armed thugs surrounded the main entrance with malicious intent. "Surrender your goods!" they roared. "We only want a fair distribution for everyone!" They demanded all women under 40 come out. Inside, Lao Li's group waited in the shadows. His small team had grown, joined by 2 more terrified, desperate survivors seeking refuge. The man in yellow trembled. "Should we just surrender and hope they show us mercy?" "Never," Lao Li hissed. "Those animals will slaughter us the moment we open that door." A final, chilling warning echoed from the thugs gathered below, freezing their blood. 10 minutes! Surrender now, or we will leave no one alive inside this building." A woman sobbed, wanting to beg. A young girl in a suit cried out in defiance. "I won't be their toy. I'd rather die than face that living nightmare." Lao Li signaled for silence. "Hold the stairs. They can't break through our defense yet." Outside, a thug with a massive blade looked at his leader with growing annoyance. "They have guns, boss. We can't just rush in like sitting ducks and get killed. Those rats are dug in deep. We need a better way to smoke them out." The leader smirked, eyes glinting with malice. "We don't need to rush a single thing. Shut off their water line. Let's see how long they last while they are parched." Nearby, Xiaoyong watched from the shadows. The family huddled close behind him. "Uncle," Soai whispered. "Are they bad too?" Xiaoyong's gaze darkened with rage. "The worst," he replied, readying his weapon as he stepped forward into the light. They are just like the monsters who hurt you. It is time to end this. Inside the building, Lao Li gripped his pistol and looked at his weary, frightened team. Stay at your posts. I'm going down to see exactly what those bastards are planning. Old Li crept toward the door, moving like a shadow to stay silent. He peeked out and cursed. 7 thugs, 3 with guns. This was bad. Suddenly, a blinding explosion rocked the building. Li ducked, ears ringing in shock. The team was paralyzed with fear. Who could have caused such a massive blast? Down below, a bullet tore through a thug's skull, ending his life instantly. The survivors screamed in pure terror. What the hell is happening? As their comrade lay dead, the gang scattered. The boss roared, "Who's there?" From the 3rd floor, Li spotted a lone figure advancing with a heavy rifle. He squinted. It was him, the mysterious stranger from the night before. Cold-blooded aura radiated from Jiang Xiaoyong. He stepped forward, picking them off one by one. The main character walked calmly, raining down lead. The thugs scrambled for cover. One gunman tried to cock his pistol but took a bullet to the forehead first. He collapsed with a final, agonizing groan. One more threat eliminated. Hiding behind a steel drum, a terrified thug peeked out before charging with a partner. They aimed for the moment the main character needed to reload his weapon. They opened fire wildly, but not a single bullet touched the main character. Amidst the sparks and lead, he kept walking. True main character energy. Xiaoyong smirked. Amateurs. The boss cowered behind a crate, gasping for air. The boss hissed through gritted teeth. Damn it! Where did this monster come from? He didn't realize Xiaoyong was already right there, aiming straight at his head. Terrified, the boss ducked and screamed orders, desperate to save his own skin. Damn it, what are you doing? Shoot him while he's pinning me down. These guys have zero teamwork. The lackey finally showed his face, screaming to bait Xiaoyong's attention. He aimed his gun, trembling with fear. Instantly, Xiaoyong's razor-sharp gaze locked onto him. Xiaoyong pivoted, targeting the idiot. 2 shots, one to the temple, one to the chest. The thug never stood a chance. His comrade fell, but the boss didn't even flinch. Leaning back, he sneered. Out of ammo, brat? Then, he lunged out, leveling his pistol at Xiaoyong. He screamed with joy. Now, die! Xiaoyong stood frozen, dropping his weapon. He stared down the barrel, his eyes cold and unwavering. The psycho hesitated, confused by the lack of fear. Finally, he pulled the trigger. But for the current Xiaoyong, dodging a single bullet was child's play. Die already! He tilted his head slightly. In a flash, he disarmed the boss and snapped his arm. The villain froze in shock. Xiaoyong pressed the barrel against his chin, whispering chillingly into his ear. Sweat poured down the leader's face. Without a second thought, Xiaoyong pulled the trigger on this piece of trash. A crimson spray erupted from the top of his head. The body slumped into a growing pool of blood. He died with his eyes wide open. After looting the corpse, Xiaoyong walked boldly through the building's main entrance. Ambushers lurked behind the massive pillars of the entrance. Blades gleamed in the shadows, but Xiaoyong had already sensed them. He stood tall in the doorway, knowing exactly what was coming. An axe swung from the left while others rushed him. Minutes later, Xiaoyong hadn't moved an inch. Bodies littered the floor. "Show yourselves!" he bellowed. Within hours, the chaos was finally settled. The rescue team emerged from the stairs, followed by Soai and his mother. Little Soai looked up in awe. "Mr. Xiaoyong, you're so cool!" Xiaoyong gave a soft smile, his eyes shifting to the glowing system interface. New quest: recruit and reform the residents of Rongxiang Court. Objective: protect all survivors. Reward: 25 points. Xiaoyong glanced at the corpses and asked Old Li, "Who are these thugs?" Old Li spat in anger. "Those animals from the Bichtui Mountain villas." Xiaoyong froze. Bichtui Mountain? Yeah, over in South City, Old Li added. Old Li called over 2 young men in yellow. Liu Chao and Chen Jie ran up instantly. "We're here," they replied. Old Li ordered them to tell Xiaoyong everything about the mountain. It seemed Old Li was the most respected leader among the survivors here. Liu Chao and Chen Jie spoke up. That group was a dark, ruthless syndicate. Armed to the teeth, they had seized control of the Beach Tui villas. They've recruited most survivors in South City. Xiaoyong went silent. Weren't his friends located there too? Could they be in danger? He turned back to confirm the facts. So, is that the only survivor hub in South City? Chen Jie answered eagerly. Not originally, but since they have the guns, small groups stand no chance against their raids. Both men's faces twisted with pure hatred. Those monsters. They slaughter half of everyone they find in a raid, Chen Jie spat. Then they kidnap the young women and anyone willing to serve them. The pieces were falling into place. Xiaoyong muttered, "I see how it is." Old Li noticed his grim expression. "What's wrong, Xiaoyong?" he asked tentatively. Ignoring the question, he stepped toward the bodies. Old Lee, take their guns. Scavenge for ammo, too. There should be plenty. He then handed his rifle to Old Lee. Take this rifle and these 5 magazines. Use them to hold the line while I am gone. Old Lee's hands trembled as he took the weapon. Is this really a real gun? I turned my gaze toward Jade Mountain, my eyes burning with a deep, unforgiving hatred. With this firepower, a dozen men cannot touch you. Lee stared at the weapon in disbelief. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Stay here and hold out for 2 days. I have business to settle. Then, I will tear those monsters apart. Hearing that name, Chen Kiet gasped in pure terror. You mean those devils from Jade Mountain? No, brother, you cannot go. It is a suicide mission. They have dozens of killers. Maybe more now. The fear in the room was thick and suffocating. Please, do not risk your life for us. We can just find a new place to hide. Lee looked at my cold, determined face. The city is huge. They cannot find us everywhere. They did not know the power I held, but I appreciated their concern nonetheless. This is personal, I said calmly. Old Lee could only watch me in stunned, confused silence. I will return in a few days with a heavy transport to get you all out. We are heading to the East City. Lee's eyes widened. The East City? I am building a fortress there, and I need loyal people. Lee nodded, finally feeling a spark of hope. With the deal sealed, I stepped out into the wasteland, followed by the mother and her son. I waved a final goodbye. Stay vigilant and keep your heads down. Take care of yourselves. Let us move out, sister. Behind me, I heard Old Lee's faint voice wishing us safety. Far to the south, a severed walker's head hung from a rusted iron fence, a grim warning. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter of the Jade Mountain stronghold under the cover of night. 3 mutilated corpses hung like sick trophies near the entrance, 2 men and 1 woman. Inside the main hall, 4 figures sat around a table, the air heavy with predatory tension. A red-haired man sat at the head, lazily exhaling a thick cloud of cigarette smoke. His voice was bored yet dangerous. Still no supplies from the Gilded District? Pathetic. Li Shuheng forced a nervous smile. Brother Wen, the raiding party should be back any minute. A man in a brown vest smirked, leaning forward with a glint of malice in his eyes. That district is full of high-class women. We need more than just canned food, right, little Li? Shu Hung bristled at the nickname but swallowed his pride to survive in this cruel world. Brother Kai, you always did have a sharp eye for the finer things in life. My orders were clear. Bring back the supplies and every survivor they can find. The red-haired boss exhaled slowly, looking down at Shu Hung with pure, unadulterated contempt. Listen, little Li. Every single task I give you ends in a complete and total failure. Shu Hung's face paled as he stammered. Brother Wen, trust me, I will handle this personally. The man in the vest laughed, savoring Shu Hung's desperate struggle to stay in favor. The meeting ended, leaving Shu Hung gasping for air as he wiped cold sweat from his brow. He stumbled into the hallway where a lackey was waiting. Boss, are you all right? Shu Hung snapped, his fear turning into a burning rage. Where are my 7 men? The lackey hesitated. Boss, we have bad news. The raiding party. They were ours. When he heard the full report, Shu Hung's scream of fury echoed through the dark halls. Dead? All of them? They were just weak civilians. How did they lose against such trash? They had 3 guns. Shu Hung's blood boiled. He could not afford another failure now. Gather every man who knows how to pull a trigger. This time, no one survives. Meanwhile, back at my sanctuary, my armored vehicle pulled up to the gates at midnight. I tapped the horn twice. San's face lit up with joy. Brothers Yao Yong is back! Old Han and Zhang Qi rushed out as the system chimed. Mission accomplished. Family secured. System points awarded. Current total, 36. The base is still reeling from the chaos. The group swarmed Xiao Yong like children waiting for their mother's return. San's face brightened the moment she saw him. Xiao Yong, you're finally back. Old Han felt a wave of relief, noting everyone was there except Lu Yiming. Xiao Yong smirked, seeing right through the situation. Classic Lu Yiming, he mused. The group stood frozen in shock. San asked, Wait, you knew all along? He didn't answer yet. He signaled Zhang Qi to take the others inside, get them settled, then meet me at the infirmary. Zhang Qi nodded and obeyed. Minutes later, the inner circle gathered outside the medical bay's heavy doors. Han was stunned by Xiao Yong's foresight. So, you sensed his malice beforehand? Xiao Yong picked up a discarded handgun, his expression calm and unreadable. I wasn't certain, but I knew a rat lurked among Zhang Qi's friends. Xiao Kai and Zhang Qi hung their heads, stung by their friend's betrayal. Memories of his past life surged Zhang Qi's tears over a friend's backstabbing. A traitor, Xiao Yong hissed. Zhang Qi finally reached for the killer's weapon. He examined the firearm, his eyes widening as he discovered something strange. He pulled the magazine. Rubber bullets? Why would he use non-lethal rounds? Old Han glanced toward the infirmary, a chilling realization dawning on his face. The boy inside, Chen Chong. Xiao Yong recalled the moment Chen Chong turned. He's no ordinary zombie. He's a rare variant who understands human speech. Inside, Xiao Yong leaned close to the creature lying on the cold bed. Blink if you understand me. 3 times. Keep a steady rhythm. The boy sat like a stone statue until Xiao Yong's words registered. He blinked 3 times perfectly, letting out a soft, guttural growl. Good boy. Now, a math test. 2 times 2? Blink the answer. He blinked 4 times. Xiao Yong grinned. Excellent. This truly is a miracle of evolution. He began explaining the terrifying secrets of zombie evolution from his past life. Post-apocalypse, some infected souls become rare variants instead of mindless monsters. They retain intelligence and fragments of their human memories. They are superior. Xiao Yong threw the door open. Chen Chong stood there, pale but oddly calm. Luckily for us, Chen Chong is one of those rare, gifted variants. The zombie's foot slammed down on the traitor Lu Yiming's shattered head. The sight was gruesome. The others flinched, but Xiao Yong looked satisfied. Suddenly, the pale creature turned, his face a roadmap of bulging, dark veins. He let out a low huff. Then, incredibly, he gave a friendly little wave. It was almost cute, yet the group stood paralyzed in sheer, silent terror. Xiao Yong's voice turned cold and sharp. All right, no witnesses. Finish it. Understanding perfectly, the zombie dragged the traitor's body out by the throat. Zhang Qi watched in disbelief. His friend's consciousness had actually returned. He stepped forward, trembling. Chong, is it really you? Do you remember? The creature stopped and turned. A wide, friendly smile split his gray face. He grunted twice in affirmation. It was a heartwarming yet terrifying reunion. Zhang Qi stood dazed, his heart racing with both joy and lingering fear. Suddenly, Chen Chong lunged straight for Zhang Qi's crotch with a snap. Zhang Qi barely dodged the lethal prank. Holy mother, you nearly killed me! Meanwhile, Chen Chong was still messing with his friend. Zhang Ji snapped. What the? Even as an undead, his hands were still restless. Truly a bizarre sight. After the carnage, everyone retreated. Xiao Yong finally collapsed onto his bed to rest. The system chimed. Hidden achievement, mutant teammate. 10 points added. Total, 46. Xiao Yong gasped. A hidden achievement? Now that is a pleasant surprise. The shop updated. Level 1 boxes for 5 points. Level 2 boxes for 50. A level 2 black tech box? Xiao Yong's heart raced with pure anticipation. He sat bolt upright, eyes gleaming with excitement. This is a first! He stroked his chin, weighing his options carefully. Strategy was key to survival. 50 points was too steep. He decided to open 2 level 1 boxes instead. Purchase. Successful. Points remaining. 41. The first reward was ready. Second box opened successfully. Current points. 36. Time to see the loot. He tapped the screen, and a brilliant light engulfed the entire room. System notification. Level 1 box opened. Reward, Otherworld Infection Inhibitor received. It could stop the virus, but could not reverse a full transformation. Next reward, a custom M82 sniper rifle with 10 rounds of 50 caliber ammo. Xiao Yong fell back onto his pillow, completely stunned by his incredible luck. If level 1 gives this, level 3 must have tanks. My god. And this inhibitor. Can it actually save someone before they turn into a zombie? New mission. Recruit 5 survivors at Dung Huang Garden. Reward, 25 points. Xiao Yong grinned. He was hooked on the system's legendary rewards. I need that level 2 box. Tomorrow, the mission officially begins. While the base slept, Chen Chong was busy dragging a body into the darkness. Morning arrived, the training began. It was time to master the art of survival. I barked the order. From today, everyone must spend at least 1 hour daily on marksmanship training. They all stepped up, fueled by a primal need to defend our sanctuary against the rising tide of darkness. 5 survivors, Lao Han, San San, Zhang Qi, Xiao Kai, and Shuai Shuai lined up, aiming at targets with grim determination. I leaned in, clapping the old man's shoulder. Old man, listen to me closely. Tell Zhang Qi to clear some rooms. I'm heading to Dung Huang today to bring back more survivors. Lao Han clicked a fresh magazine into place. Consider it done. Go safely. I then turned to my unusual partner. Chen Sung stood ready. For everyone's safety, he donned the anti-bite muzzle like a loyal, silent guardian. The metal muffled his low growls into a strange hum. He looked at me and gave an affirmative bark. Follow me, I commanded. Hours later, a mangled bus blocked the highway, a metal tomb under the scorching sun. Rotting corpses littered the asphalt, surrounded by fresh, twitching mutants wandering aimlessly through the wreckage of the past. We reached the front door of the bus. the stench of death thick enough to taste in the air. A zombie slumped over, my dagger buried deep in its skull. Behind the wheel, the driver had also turned. Tangled in his seatbelt, he lunged at me, his jaws snapping with a hunger that defied his own death. Suddenly, he was gone. Chen Zeng ripped him from the seat with terrifying strength, tossing him away like trash. With the bus finally cleared of those rotting monsters, I held out a key. Chen Zeng watched me, acting like a soldier awaiting his next command without question. He reached out with surprising gentleness, careful not to graze my skin. His awkward caution was almost human. I pressed the key into his palm. Take it off. When it's just us, you don't need that thing. A flicker of something crossed his pale eyes. He paused, as if my words had sparked a dying memory. Slowly, he slid the key into the lock beneath his chin, his movements deliberate and heavy. I reminded him, once we reach Donghuang, you need to stay sharp. Better keep that mask on. We wouldn't want you scaring the locals, would we? Tran Sung just grunted behind his beastly mask, nodding in silent agreement. Meanwhile, at the South Mountain base, Li Shuhong and Kui Jing were preparing for war. Their thugs swarmed the pickup trucks like vultures, scenting blood. Shuhong's roar echoed through the yard. Where is everyone? Why aren't we moving yet? A man and woman scrambled onto the back just in time. We're all here, boss! Let's roll out, the crew shouted back. Li Shuhong sat shotgun, his fingers white-knuckled as he gripped his rifle like a holy relic. He lit a cigarette, his face a mask of pure malice. I don't believe it. There's no way we fail to seize that garden complex today. He flicked the glowing ember onto the pavement as the engines hissed to life. The thugs let out a unified, bloodthirsty howl. Move out. Jiang Xiaoyong is about to meet his worst nightmare. This reunion is going to be a massacre. On the road, the living dead wandered aimlessly, some huddling over a fresh kill, tearing at raw, cold flesh. Suddenly, twin beams of light cut through the apocalypse. A heavy bus barreled toward a creature feasting on a disemboweled corpse. The monster looked up, blinded, just as the metal beast arrived. This was the same bus Xiaoyong and Tran Sung had hijacked yesterday. They didn't even tap the brakes. The impact sent bodies soaring through the air amidst a chorus of guttural snarls. The engine screamed as the driver expertly swerved through the graveyard of rusted cars, racing toward their destination. Back at the fragrant garden high-rise, Old Lee and the survivors huddled together, sharing a desperate breakfast of dry, tasteless crackers. Fear kept them glued to one another. Then, the low, predatory rumble of an approaching engine shattered the silence. Little Zixuan's eyes lit up with pure joy. It's Big Brother Xiaoyong! I knew he'd come back for us. But Old Lee knew better than to trust the silence. He signaled for absolute quiet, gripping his AK-47 as he crept toward the window. Don't move yet, kid, Lee whispered, his voice like gravel. Let me see who's at our doorstep first. Cold sweat rolled down his neck as he peered through the glass, his heart hammering a frantic rhythm against his ribs. His hope died instantly. It wasn't Xiaoyong. Shuhong's gang had arrived, and they were already checking their magazines. The fat boss kicked his door open, stepping out with a sneer. House number 8. That's where the rats are hiding. Shuhong hefted his rifle and signaled his men with a sharp, lethal wave. Go! Move in and clear the building! A line of cold-blooded killers followed him, their boots heavy on the pavement. Old Lee's blood turned to ice. He spat a curse under his breath. Damn it! It's those savages from Bitch Twee Mountain. They've found us.